Hello, everybody! Thank you for coming. I am very excited about today. We've been planning this chat collab for a really long time. Actually, like pretty much almost since the beginning of Virtual Sleepover, I think. But I put it off because I wanted to get as many people in as possible. And then it was like, oh, it's June. I should do it.
Rem, where's Chi?
Oh no! Chi's not here. I gotta put Chi in. I got her in the thumbnail, and I forgot.
We're already off. We're already off on the scuff. Good
Already.
Lord.
Hold on.
Let's go.
I'll fix it.
Oh my god.
I was
Hi,
focused.
chat. How is everybody doing today?
How is everyone doing?
Oh my god.
How's your Thursday? My Thursday has been pretty chill. I did not get to sleep until after my first dose of my medication, which is at 6 a.m. But then I slept until like 3, so hey, that's pretty good.
So if it's any consolation, I did the exact same thing for the exact same hours, but there was no medication involved. I'm just bad at sleeping.
When it gets to like after 5, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay up until my medication time so that I can take it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I slept from about 6 to 12, and then I was like, well, this isn't enough. And so I was up for about an hour, and then I went back to sleep for another hour and a half.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know when I went to sleep.
I've been having trouble sleeping lately in general, but like I think it's just due to like me having the sporadic fevers from hay fever. So like I've been having like this basically lingering hay fever that just does not want to let up because of the ragweed around here. It's been killer lately. The pollen's been like on very high for basically grass and trees, and it's just been running about 101, 102 fevers at night. Yeah,
Oh,
no.
God.
Oof. Yeah, sleep has been just difficult. It's hard when there's no like routine or reason, like you have to be up by this time. That makes it kind of difficult.
Oh yeah, the whole thing of I'm gonna get X amount of hours if I fall asleep now, and then being up an hour. I'm gonna get X amount of hours if I fall asleep now.
Yep.
That whole
Definitely.
thing.
Yes, narrator, and then she did not.
And it was at that moment they fucked up.
So I guess we should probably go down the line with pronouns, and since we're talking about it, probably identities as well. And so it looks like I'm first on that. I didn't realize that when I started talking. but hi, my name's Julep. My pronouns are he, they, or it. I am bisexual/pansexual, and I'm platonic-romantic, which means I don't have a difference between platonic attraction and romantic attraction. And I also and I'm a non-binary trans man. I'm trans man, but with an asterisk of there's more there. And that's pretty much like what you can find on like my profiles. That's where it goes. I have more like in-depth labels of like what of non-binary I am and things like that, which if you're keeping track, my flavor of non-binary is noutois, which is a French word which sounds really pretentious, but and noutois means that you have a gender and it is neutral, and that you're specifically going to change your body into a more neutral presentation rather than trying to pursue a binary gender aesthetic.
Okay.
So yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And yeah, so next up is Chi.
Yeah. I'm Chi. I'm pansexual and panromantic. I'm also I use she they, and I'm non-binary. Specifically, I refer to myself as demigirl. And yeah, that's basically it. Sorry, I got like really nervous.
That's
I'm kind
okay.
of on the A spectrum as well, but not quite perfectly aligned with it.
Mm.
That's it.
Alrighty.
So Rem.
Okay, so I am Rem. I go by she, her, or they, them. And I am. Oh god, gender.
Gender is a fuck.
So
Gender.
I only pretty recently started like feeling confident to call myself non-binary, but I am primarily femme-aligned and I identify as sapphic. I am bi, but I am aromantic or asexual, not aromantic. I am extremely romantic. About as much as it's possible for a person to be, unfortunately. But yeah, I am biromantic and asexual, and yeah, gender is a whole thing. I haven't got it figured out yet. We'll talk more about it later. And yeah, that's it.
All right. I am Shay or Shayna. I am gender fluid, so pretty much I consider myself very gender flux, in the sense that I identify as basically anything at any given moment. So I'm very loose when it comes to pronouns. You can call me just about anything. Whatever you see me as, you're fit to call me. It really doesn't matter. So he, him, they, them, she, her, doesn't matter. As for my sexual orientation and identity, I am very pan-romantic, biromantic, and I consider myself very demisexual. However, it is very cast for me because I have hypersexuality problems for me to lean out of my demi identity. But I tend to lean more towards demi. So yeah, something to discuss later.
Okay.
Is there a
Yeah.
difference between gender flex and gender fluid? Yes, there is, because some people do not go by either the three, and some people tend to just lean towards more femme or more masc. However, I tend to just flux between the three. So
Yeah, like
That's very
very
interesting. That's
broadly
cool.
speaking, as I have seen it, gender flux is sometimes considered as like a type of gender fluid, or sometimes they're considered as two distinct things.
right.
You get into this a lot with non-binary identities. There's a whole world out there.
Right,
A
exactly.
lot of overlap here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay.
think that was everything on my part. Sunset?
Okay, yeah. So I'm Sun S37, also known as Sunset. I'm kind of chill with most pronouns, but typically prefer they, them. Gender is a fuck. I know some flavor of non-binary that has shifted many times over the years, and like also like Rem, it's kind of only more recently I felt more comfortable leaning into non-binary, because a lot of the time my stance has just been like, I don't care. Like I just would rather have no gender, but there also is a gender. I don't know. But other than that, yeah, I do identify as like sapphic or lesbian, just because I like lots of people, but I think girls are pretty a lot.
Move.
But yeah, I think that's about it for the concise explanation. We can get into more of that later. So
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's us.
That's us.
And we're I think.
Issy. We got Issy.
Oh no, where's Issy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
How could you forget Issy?
Oh yeah, she
Forget
had to
Issy.
rejoin.
Our favorite pocket frog.
Yeah, hi, I'm Issy. I am a transgender woman. I use she, her. And I am extremely lesbian. Like, there were times where, like, I wondered, like, maybe if I'm bi, but, like, overall, I think, like, it's probably. Yeah, again, we'll go over it in detail, like, over the stream, but, I like women. I love girls. I adore ladies. And oh yeah, and along with that, I'm also polyamorous. So
Oh right, I forgot about polyamory.
Oh yes,
I
that
also-
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm also poly.
Same.
That's a whole
I
thing.
forgot to
A
include that in, but yeah.
whole can of worms.
so yeah, that's me. I'm your froggy.
That's our froggy.
And now that's us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very important addition.
So yeah, I think we might want to like talk about our like gender and sexuality kind of journey a little bit. Whoever wants to start can.
And we could just go down the line again too, just so we have our
I
order.
see.
If
Okay,
people are ready.
so
Yeah.
I can.
You can
Yeah.
skip if you're not ready.
I think I can. I really did not admit. I call it coming out to myself because I definitely had feelings and I definitely thought feelings, but I also I am such a I want to I can really persuade myself that something isn't true. So I really thought that I was a straight cis woman until I was about 21 or 22. And the first thing that I had was a dream about a girl kissing me. And I woke up from that dream and I was like, I don't think I can call myself straight anymore. Gender is also a little bit weirder for me. It's kind of gone back and forth. My first experience, my first oh, I might be trans thought was first I had to know about it existing, and then I wore a red nose and antlers at the restaurant that I worked at during Christmas, and people would call me Rudolph, and I got a little burst of gender euphoria. So I very early on was very much nervous about gender euphoria being invalid, not as valid as dysphoria. Since I'm fat, I really couldn't tell dysphoria from body dysmorphia for most of my life, because it just kind of all was just a ton of bad feelings around my body. And now that I'm older and have thought about it more, I can kind of tell that I have had these feelings for a while. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I identified at first as gender fluid. I went from I kept going between gender fluid to non-binary. And then at one point I stayed non-binary for a couple years. And recently, in the last year or so, I've become more confident calling myself a non-binary man, like a gender non-conforming man. Partly because I'm out in the professional world, and I feel like I have to push people to gender me correctly, because they them is something that people won't do in the professional world. So that's where it started with. But at the end of the day, like, I also get, while I accept they them and its pronouns, I get actual gender euphoria when people call me he him. Like, I get that little like blip of like, oh, that fits. And so that's really important to me. So I am, yeah, that's kind of where I've gone from. There's a lot of like, am I trans enough to call myself like binary trans? And it's like, you don't have to be. You can just put the two words together. You can put non-binary and trans man together. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. With Platonic Romantic, that's a really recent development that I realized. Someone posted a meme that was like, the corporate wants you to find the difference between these two pictures, and it said like platonic attraction and romantic attraction, and then there was the cutaway with the person saying it's the same picture, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I never thought of myself as like on the aromantic spectrum, because I'm very, very romantic, but I'm romantic with everyone. So basically I have to define a relationship by the boundaries that are set during the relationship, rather than like how I feel about a person, because especially when I've just become friends with people, I have like really strong romantic feelings towards them. And as I get to know them, I like have like that partnership feeling towards people. So that's kind of the difference with that. And yeah, and as far as poly things, I've always kind of known that I was poly, but I've only recently, after like 8 years with my partner, we've only recently started like opening up. But yeah, that's the whole of that. There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The julep
Yeah.
journey.
The
Yay.
Julep Journey.
So
It's a good album name.
Yeah.
when you said Platonic Romantic, I misheard it as Pluto, like Plutonic Romantic, and my brain was like,
You
Pluto's
Pluto
a
Nash
sexual, like
Romantic? My god, that was a terrible movie.
my brain went to like the god, and I was like, that sounds so cool. What is that? And I was like, oh, okay.
I'm only
Just now you said that.
romantically interested in Hades, please, actually.
See, I thought you meant the planet when you just said this. Now I'm like, yes, I'm romantically attracted to the dwarf planet Pluto.
It is my favorite dwarf planet.
I mean, it's a pretty sexy planet.
That's very funny. No.
I mean, only if you're into small subby planets, I'm just saying.
Well,
I
you
see.
know, there's a time and a place.
The Mars romantic it logs into the chat.
Hey, now maybe Pluto is just a short dom.
Yeah.
That's true.
Small tops supremacy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And also, like, just so y'all know, like, this is not an 18+ channel, but it's also not like a channel like specifically for children, so we may touch on some like non-graphic sex related stuff in this stream, like, just so you know.
Small
Well, I mean, come on, it's Pride. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, like, yeah.
Okay, I guess that's Chi next if you're ready to talk.
If you're ready, yeah.
Yeah, I can go ahead and talk. So This is gonna sound silly, but I actually didn't know what gay people were until like middle school. And so
This valid is very valid.
yeah. And so it was like I thought everyone I was like, yeah, everyone likes girls, like they're pretty, like why wouldn't you? and
Oh my
and I
goodness.
thought like I always joke and say that like watching Hannah Montana as a kid was my like queer awakening, because like she had this, there was a whole episode where she talked about having a girl crush, and I was like, okay, yeah, so everyone goes through this.
Wait,
then I
hold
was
on,
like-
hold on. I have to I have to conjecture here. Hannah Montana as a kid, and I remember all your ages. I'm so old. Oh God.
Yeah, no, hey,
Christ.
Shay, I just had the same thought because I was like a full ass adult when Hannah Montana.
I know.
Yeah,
God damn.
I might be the oldest, but
Alright, yes,
Jeez.
like, go on, baby Chi.
Go on, she.
But yeah, so I was like, and it wasn't until like I found out through like going on like Tumblr and stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't this isn't how everyone is. And I was like, but I still like, when I initially like saw like stuff, I thought gay people was like only a thing that like masculine people could do. I thought that was like only a thing that guys could have, right? And so it wasn't until like the end of middle school that I realized that there's like girls that like girls, and I was like, oh, maybe. And then which middle school as a whole was a weird time for me, because for like all of middle school, like my pronouns honestly have fluctuated a lot throughout my life. And towards like the last 2-ish years of middle school, I actually preferred like he, him pronouns, and it was just a weird time. It was it wasn't until like around high school that I realized that doesn't really fit for me, and so I just defaulted back to using like she, her pronouns. So I was like, well, that doesn't fit, and I don't know what else like could possibly ever fit. So I was like, I guess I'll just go with what I've always gone with. And it wasn't until this year actually that I was like, wait, I could be non-binary. I was like, I'm allowed to be non-binary. That's a thing that I'm allowed to do. And so I was like, I finally like was like, yeah, that sounds more right. But it was still like, I was like, but just using they, them also didn't quite feel right. So that's why I prefer using she, they, like she, her, they, them and stuff. And like I like looked into it, and I was like trying to find something, because for a long, like I've always considered non-binary and stuff, but I was like I could never tell if it was kind of similar with like the way it was like Julep was, where I couldn't tell how much of it was like me being uncomfortable like having a feminine body, or me being uncomfortable being fat. And so it was like, I was like, oh, well, if I don't have dysphoria, then I can't, kind of thing. And I was like I looked up some more stuff, and I talked to a couple people, and I was like, I don't have to have dysphoria necessarily. Like it's more like, for me, it's more like of what makes me more comfortable. And like being non-binary is more comfortable for me. And so like I was like, and honestly it was such like a relieving feeling, because it's something that's been like stressing me out for years at this point. And so like actually finding out about like demigirl, because that specifically fit me more comfortably, and like it was just like a really happy feeling for me to like just find something that fit. And then with like panromantic and stuff, I've always kind of liked girls, and I just thought it was like, something that everyone did, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I've gone back and forth over whether I'm actually like pan or bi or lesbian, and like for me, I think pan fits me more, because I'm not just attracted to women, and again, it's like a term that it feels more comfortable for me, essentially. And with like poly, it's something that like I found out more so in high school because I spent a lot of time like self-reflecting and like just like trying to communicate with myself, and I was like, as I thought about it, I was like, I've always like liked more than like one person at a time, and so it's like I'm bad at explaining things, but yeah. And so
I get you.
Yeah. And
Well,
so that was something that's more comfortable.
I guess what it comes down to is that not every time does it need to be a symptom of, our dysmorphia, dysphoria, whatever. It really comes down to being a comfortability with you yourself as a person and the introspection you have whenever you go through those ordeals.
Yeah, that's something that I've been trying to like be more comfortable with. Is like, there's no reason to like lie to myself about this stuff, so I should just be honest with like how I feel about all this.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of us, we definitely have the struggle, especially like with non-binary stuff. It's like, am I whatever enough to like allow myself this identity when it's
Right.
ridiculous?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to fit some sort of subset to be said identity. You just need to be able to allow yourself the freedom to express that identity however you see yourself fit to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that there was that realization that you can be non-binary. It hits so hard, and it's really weird to explain because like you can be on Tumblr and learn about non-binary people and learn about how to use they them pronouns and everything like that. But, like sink in. I remember I went on like a Twitter like yelling fest about just like, wait, I don't need it. I don't.
Oh, do y'all think I should put I just realized, do y'all...
And people still like
Sorry, I think you're cutting out a
some
bit.
of my friends.
And I think that was cut out, Rem.
You
Okay.
cut out for a moment there. Rem.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No problem. But yeah, you're good. But yeah, so to do this, I don't have to. I was like really comfortable completely in my skin, but it's just constantly like seeking that where is it going to be. I do think you should
yeah,
put the tag on it. Yeah.
So you
Okay.
didn't have any tags, you could put that on there.
Yeah, what about VTuber?
Yeah.
Should I put that on too?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, VTuber first.
VTuber
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay. But yeah, that's a really relief, just a big wave of relief to be like, wait, I don't need to do this.
Well, that's the thing. No two identities are the same. Like, yeah, so like you find somebody who identifies as trans masc, they're not going to be the same as another person who identifies as trans masc. It's an experience for everybody differently in every set case. It's not going to be the same person to person.
Yeah.
And for people to generalize it as it's going to be the same is just a fallacy in itself.
Yeah, I think the problem is, especially it's like, all the Tumblr wars, especially over this kind of stuff, you got into a lot of like identity gatekeeping from people, and it really scared a lot of people who were like, okay, do I have to be such and such to like have this identity? And it's like, you really don't. It's just, the loud wrong people who will come and yell at you.
The gatekeeping, and it honestly scared a lot of people who were questioning or closeted about this, a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Like, and
Things
that
like-
is... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was...
Go ahead.
Like, one thing that like, I think y'all will find listening to this stream, like, I kind of doubt if there's anybody who is in here right now who's not in the LGBT plus community, because that's pretty much almost my entire sphere. But the one thing you'll find listening to us,
Actually, I was gonna say I'm not actually a part of any direct LGBT communities. I just identify and align with them pretty well.
yeah. But I think in terms of like people watching this stream, for the most part, y'all are probably familiar with this stuff. But especially like if you're not, you will see listening to us that there is so much variety in terms of how people identify, and like I think like Sunset, a lot of us have had that struggle where like, are we okay, like are we of this, you know, are we this way enough to be this identity? And if like that's very common, and once you really get into it, like, no, you don't have to be exactly one way to fit, and also you don't have to use any label that doesn't feel right for you also. That's why there are so many labels, and that's why I think labels are valuable, not for everybody, but when you find the right thing to call yourself, that can really, and like not everybody needs one, but for people who do, like that can really change everything when you feel like suddenly I am not the only person in the world who feels this way. It's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think to give an example of like that not happening for me personally, in the past I was in middle school and I was in youth group. I was raised conservative Christian, and I was in youth group, and we were talking about gay people and how like gay sex is wrong. And I remember specifically asking if you are attracted to the opposite gender but you're also attracted to the same gender, are you gay? And the response I got was just no. It wasn't no, that's called bisexual, or no, that's something else. That was the first time that like if someone had given me that word at that point, I might have like had a completely different journey than I did. But because at that moment, the answer was just no, I was like, okay, I'm straight then. and then that lasted until I was 21.
Just great things.
Even though I learned about other sexualities and stuff like that, it was still like, I still was like, oh, this isn't like, I'm doing this for attention. If there was a point where I told my best friend, I feel like I could be with a woman, but I have not met a woman that I could be with. And Vanessa was like, okay, yeah, that's bi, you can be bi. And I was like, yeah. And then I told myself later that I just did that to like be cool, and to, like that was a lie that I was telling my friend. And it's like there's just such a mental block there of just like, oh, I'm way too attracted to men to possibly be bi. Or like I just like women aesthetically. Like I really believed that for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I guess next is Rem, if you want to go.
Yeah, very, very relevant, this conversation to my journey, particularly with bisexuality, because, so I was like, I think I was 24 before I got to the point where I felt comfortable enough to call myself bisexual and come out to others. And it was on that year's National Coming Out Day that I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna make a post. And Like, it's like, on the one hand, it boggles my mind that it took me that long, but then it also doesn't, because there was a lot of internalized stuff that I had dealt with. So when I was a kid, I think I found out that gay people existed in 2nd grade, because I remember Titanic had just come out, so that dates me. But Titanic had just come out, and girls in the class were talking about how hot Leonardo DiCaprio was, which was another thing that I didn't get when people did that. But they were talking about how hot Leonardo DiCaprio was, and the boys were like, "Oh, he's gay," and they were like, "No, he's not." And I was obviously very confused by the conversation, and one of the girls was like, "Don't you know what gay is?" And I was like, "Happy?" He's like, "No." Oh no, we got a bot now. Hold on. Or Al, can you destroy the bot, please? Oh no, no. Oh no. Okay, I gotta turn off links. Hold on. I might break up for a minute.
Hold on.
Oh god, how do I do that? How do I turn off links?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and grab some too.
Holy
Yeah, I hear
shit.
big follows.
Oh, this is what you get when you tag.
Good god.
It's okay.
That's alright.
I'm trying to get into the settings.
Yeah, no, I
good.
tag and I don't even get it that bad. Holy shit.
It's like random.
Also, hi Lily. Hi, I just noticed that you're here too. Hello, Lily.
Yeah, Lily's been here for a bit. I appreciate it, and it's nice to see some folks over on YouTube, because that's been very rare lately for me.
Hey,
Lily
Maxie.
Hello, Maxie. We are dealing with a slight.
Yeah, ban the word big follow, apparently.
Yeah, let me hold on.
Invasion.
Can you do that on
that's why
Twitch
I was
directly?
sniping those fools.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
break up a little
Yeah.
bit.
Holy crap.
Yes, we have Serb. Hello, Serb. We have Turkey or Rassi. Here we have so many people.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
Big follows.
Maxi. Yeah, no, not permitted term.
Yeah, not. Oh, I thought that was a. Oh, okay, I'm in the wrong. We don't want to permit that
yeah.
blocked term. Okay, somebody got it. Okay.
Al has already.
Yeah, Allison got it. We're
You're
good.
on top of it. Thank you. Good moderation. Thank you very much. I'm so happy. Because I'm
We're
really
here.
slow at this.
We're on the case.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking, and I was like, oh no.
I was trying to figure out where that was. Okay, thank you.
Powerful.
Yes, appreciate mods. They are the world to us. Anyway,
It's
so
very helpful to have moderators.
yes. Now that is dealt with.
Okay.
So yeah, and so they told me what gay was, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, that was the extent of my reaction. I was like, okay. Alright. That's a thing. My parents, like, never, ever, 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 ever talked about it, other than to just be very generally, like, treat everybody the same. Like, they didn't talk about anything specifically, you know? So I wasn't really exposed too much of that. And so so my house wasn't homophobic, but they also just, like, did not want to talk about anything controversial ever. So, yeah, so, like, what wound up happening, and I don't want to talk about this too much because it's a bit painful, but I got exposed to adult material way earlier than I should have, because even though it was the early 90s, we had internet, and I was completely unsupervised.
Oh, I have stories.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that in detail, but it is important because during that time, all I wanted was like stuff about girls, only girls, all the time. And like later on, because the thing was, I didn't have any romantic attractions before I was 14 years old. None, like real life, none whatsoever. Girls like in elementary school would do that, oh, who do you have a crush on, like when we're on field trips and stuff, alone in our hotel room. And I would say nobody, and they wouldn't believe me. And I feel like I don't know what to tell. Like, I don't have a crush on anybody. And they just think, that I didn't want to say. But, like, I really didn't understand. Like, I didn't have those feelings. And, like, it took me a very long time to do so. But then when I did start having crushes, like, age 14, my first crush at the time, as far as I knew, was on a guy. However, that's not how they identify now. but at the time, yeah, you may know who it is, Julep.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, at the time, that and like the next, few, very small handful of people that I was attracted to, were guys. And so I thought, obviously I can't be bi, I can't be attracted to girls, because if I were, then I would have crushes on girls, and I would, like, this whole, all of the other stuff, that's just me, like, being, like, exploitative, like that, like, that's all I'm doing. Like, that's not, that's not real, and it's wrong, and I'm bad for doing it. Yeah. And so that's, I struggled with that for years. And just telling myself that, like, obviously I can't be, it's like I'm fake. If I try to call myself that, I'll be faking. And the thing was, like, my entire friend group in high school, which was actually pretty big, like, for the first and only time in my life, I had a very large friend group, and every girl but one was bi. Like, I was one of 2 girls who identified as straight in that entire friend group. And I realized later, and like the one, it was really funny too, because she was obviously cool with it, but she was the kind of girl that girls loved. Like, every girl had a crush on. And she'd look at me like, help. She'd look at me like, help, please. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I lost contact with her, but I'm thinking, oh crap, sorry, you were the only one. I'm sorry. I've betrayed you retroactively. But yeah, but looking back on everything, wow. Because I had crushes on girls in like media and stuff too, but the only things that I was able to recognize as a crush were the crushes that I had on male characters, because I spent so long just like reenacting the pattern that had been set for me. And I did this like in things that I wrote and stuff too, and it's really easy to tell looking back that I was just like following the pattern of shoujo anime, and like that's all that it was. It's so easy to tell. And like I never wanted to get married, I never wanted to have kids, I never wanted those things myself, and I would like do everything I could to like work around that if I was writing things. And so and like also, like, when I was in middle school, my aunt gave me a photo book of Raquel Welch, and, like, there were some nudes in there, and I would look at them and feel things, and I hid it shamefully under my bed, and I'll just look back on things like this, like, you were so bi, Rem. You were ridiculously bi. Why did it take you so long to understand and admit this to yourself? And it's internalized stuff, that's the reason. But it's funny to look back on all of that stuff. Like, my first crush on a character in a game like any game or anime was Anne from Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo. Not even in 64, the Super Nintendo. all it took for me was one. Like I had a habit of like viewing the main character of any game as myself at that age, and I would like give them my name and stuff. And so like the game was like, okay, marry a girl, and I was like, okay, I get to marry a girl. Which girl should I marry? Oh, I like all these girls. I want to marry a girl. And then Anne had a red pony. She had red hair and a big ponytail, and she was like a cool like blacksmith or something. And I was like, oh, I want to marry her. I like her. And that was all it took. That was all it took. And I didn't understand until later.
Feelings for Harvest Moon is such a mood.
It really is. Like I have a friend who had a similar experience. Like she's bi now. She had a similar experience with Karen in 64. Like which is a good choice, I'll say. But in 64, I don't really like Anne because she looks. I know they're all chibi, but she looks younger than the other ones. And even as a child, I liked older women. So. Like very like my entire life, that has been the mood my entire life. So Anne looked too young for me at like 10 years old in 64. But
my big crush on a Harvest Moon character was Muffy in the GameCube version. Muffy is the blonde girl with the red dress, and she's like really superficial but actually very sad. And she's just
I like Cecilia. Was that her name, Cecilia?
Oh man,
that's the brown haired girl. Yeah, the farmer girl.
Yeah.
But mine was Muffy.
I like most Harvest Moon girls, if we're being honest. It was so funny because I think
a lot of good girls.
The GameCube one was the first one that they released in the US where like you could be a girl and marry a guy, but the options were so terrible. Like nobody wanted them. So everybody just married girls anyway, even if you were straight. But I'm so glad that you can finally.
Oh, man. My first, I think.
I was gonna say you can finally be gay in Season of Stories. Finally.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is.
I was gonna say my first like.
Oh, you're cutting out again, or is it me?
From Guitar Hero. I think it's you.
We can hear you okay, but I think your mic be cutting out.
Okay, let me like pull Discord up for a minute. That sometimes calms it to be focused on. Okay, go ahead.
Me, pay attention to me. No, me. I was adding to the video game girl crush thing, and mine was the Pandora from Guitar Hero.
Oh. I see.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but like also like I did play all of the Guitar Hero games, but I don't remember the names. But all of the girls were hot in Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can grab a picture of her right quick.
I have a lot of media crushes from like games and anime on female characters that I didn't realize were crushes until years and years later.
Yeah, that was me. Like King from King of Fighters was a whole awakening for me because like that was when I was like 9 years old, right? And so my friend introduced me to the game and I was really excited because games just didn't really have female characters at that point. There were very few, unless like some RPGs maybe, but like and you could almost never play a girl in a game. And so my friend introduced me to King of Fighters and there were so many girls, and of course they were hot also, but there were so many girls, and like she liked to play King. She liked masculine characters. Like her favorite character from Sailor Moon was Uranus. But she was playing King and I was like, is that a boy or a girl? And she laughed and she was like, that's a girl. And I was like, oh.
Oh, mood.
Sorry, I hit my mic. But yeah, it was yeah. But that is my section. We should talk more about anime and game crushes later. We gotta spill the beans on that.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
That could be a whole stream on its own, honestly.
Yeah. So, but that is sexuality. It took me a really long time. But I do like girls very much. I like feminine people in general. Like, generally speaking, regardless of gender, people who like choose to present femininely. I like them very much.
Right.
I like, and like I tend not to like really masculine guys or anything like that. Even though like my first few crushes were on guys, I don't think any of them were straight. Actually, like they were all bi. Some of them were very gender non-conforming. And there was one who was straight, but he was like. I broke up with him in part because he was homophobic, but it was in a way, like, he got drunk and tried to tell me something one day, and I think he tried to confess that he, like, hit on a guy. I think that's what he was trying to say, but he was too drunk. He's, like, also very Christian, and he was, like, too drunk to actually get it across, so I'm not 100%, but I think a lot of his stuff was like internalized stuff, but he was also obnoxious. So, like he's the kind of guy that always had to be dating a girl, like always, and like he would like ask me if I had like single friends after I broke up with him too, and like,
Oh, gross.
that kind of guy.
Disgusting.
And one of my friends wound up dating him. And she found out that I also dated him, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was that kind of a guy. But he was the only one that may have been straight, but we don't know. We don't know. We just don't know.
The world may never know.
I hope to never know. I hope I never meet him again.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so gendered though is a whole other thing, because I was assigned female at birth, and I do connect strongly with femininity, and like I am like whatever else I am a girl. Like, and that's a big reason that it took me so long to like think about the fact that I was probably non-binary, because like that, like I will never be uncomfortable if somebody refers to me as she, her. I will never be uncomfortable if somebody uses a feminine term for me, and I don't experience dysphoria often or much. Like I, for the most part, am happy with my body, but that's not all there is rolling around in the old noggin, and it took me a really long time to understand that there are times that I don't feel like that, you know? There are times that I want to express other things, and that like there are times, like there are parts of me that are not that, but it's gonna take a really long time to get all that sorted out. So like sometimes my brain just wants to be like a Bishonen of uncertain gender. Like that is what my brain wants at times, and
So valid.
yeah, like and that is again like there were many signs before that I should have understood, but I did not, because again, like you, like a lot of, like when you first learn about like trans and non-binary, like dysphoria is at the forefront of it, and that's, you know, that's obviously very valid. That is what I would say probably most non-binary and trans people experience at some point, is dysphoria. And so I was like, well then that's not me, except but yeah, so that is very complicated though, and I'm not gonna know exactly what to call myself for a long while yet. I joke that it's gonna take another 20 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's like really important to, when somebody is non-binary, to figure out how they want to present and how they want to be referred to, because there's so much difference, and you can really hurt somebody by just assuming that like one pronoun of their pronouns is the one that they want to use, or they want to be perceived as like feminine, or they want to be perceived as like totally androgynous. Like there is so much difference in that, and it's really important to consider it on a person by person basis.
Yeah, it's definitely like a whole thing.
Yeah.
As a person that's like gender non-conforming, but to the gender that I wasn't assigned at birth.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a whole thing, and it's just like really hard to kind of like separate that feeling from like those words. For me, like if I am misgendered, it can if it's from someone that I like, it can knock me out for like the next day. Like I will have no spoons for the next entire day, just because I will be just like feeling stressed and depressed, and like, oh, my voice is, I should voice train so that I can make it easier on all these other people, instead of just being like, no, this is me, and that's all that is to it. And yeah, it's definitely something, especially when you're in a new friend group, it's really hard to like just like tackle that like misgendering and stuff like that.
Yeah.
While everyone gets used to how your voice sounds, and that it's like, and what pronouns that voice comes with.
Yeah. That is definitely, because like I have always had a ton of like trans friends online, but I have never, like, pre getting into VTubing, I really never did voice chats. So I was not used to hearing people. And so like, first of all, just like associating a voice with a person, that much is hard, especially when you're in a big voice call. But it's something that like you gotta commit to, and you gotta work on to not hurt people. Like you gotta do it.
Yeah, it's something that really comes across as very difficult, especially when you have it from my angle, whereas I have done nothing but basically my entire life, nothing but voice chat and being in online communities and so forth, coming to terms with, you may not ever see this person face to face, and you have to make kind of an identity for the person and figure out what makes them comfortable in their identity and so forth, and you know, getting used to what they want to be referred as pronoun wise or otherwise, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, on that note, I think it's your turn, Shay.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It has come around, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'll start with gender in general, because that one has always been kind of a weird one. For me, gender started to come around by the time I was about 14, 15. I have a very awful dead name. I am going to reiterate why it's so awful, just in very quick, simple terms. It's no secret, I'm African American, but also, my dead name, I'm named after the plantation from Gone with the Wind.
No! Oh god.
Yeah, so I've got a pretty fucking awful dead name.
I'm so sorry.
I've known this fact from the time I was 7 or so. And I finally came to terms with it and figured out the weight of it by the time I was about 14, 15. So online, I actually started going by a non-actual name, an alias, and would change my name online, and went by a different name. And this was before kind of, you know, changing your name, taking a name that you want to claim and go by it, was really a thing. It was that age of the internet where, 4chan and all that was still big, and in those communities. And so I was going through some things, and the name was very masculine, so people would assume masculinity before they actually got to talking with me on voice. In fact, one of my funniest moments of that happening was back when Star Wars Galaxies was a thing. I played a male Bothan medic. And a Bothan is this camel-looking like creature.
Yeah.
And it was a male character. So they would assume I was a guy. I told them none the wiser until they got on voice chat with me to go do some raiding or whatever. And they're like, holy shit, you're a woman? I'm like, well, why were you assuming otherwise? Just don't assume things, Like, why aren't you playing a Twi'lek? Well, I don't like Twi'leks. I like Bothans. They're cool, It doesn't matter what the hell I'm playing. Just, don't assume things on the internet. That's like first rule there, dude. So, anyways, I would play very non-generalized characters, and also I don't like caricatures. I do not make caricatures of like any character I would play, because I would cross-play a lot and, play male characters in games, or play, kind of downy-looking female characters and just have fun with it. So they would assume otherwise on things, and so that was one part that kind of made me feel, I guess, a sort of empowerment in that I could make people think whatever they wanted in that sense until otherwise. Now, I had no problem with, being femme or anything like that. But when you have people in your life constantly berating you for, not being femme and so forth in certain aspects because they never gave you the chance to, it was a sense of empowerment in that I was able to pass in those senses. I was able to pass as mask. I was able to pass as femme just enough that people wouldn't, think otherwise. And that was good enough for me. Because a lot of my life has been based as online up until a few years ago. And so when I came across the name Shay, which that's also another story, but I don't know if it's safe. But it came across as a thing of Shay was a name I claimed because it was on my terms. And it wasn't neutral. It was a whatever name I came up with, and I, took it, and yeah. So when my, I guess, supposed euphoria comes up is I like being whatever I am in the eyes of whoever sees me. However they perceive me, that's fine. But when I'm presenting as femme, mask, whatever, that's fine as well. Like my euphoria comes from the fact that I am presenting as something and people see me as it. And so I've really, especially within the last few years, because it's really been, down to like a point of just recently, like a year ago, I was in a Perkins, and despite me having painted nails and arm warmers on, I was getting identified as male by the waitress, and that was okay, because I even had a talk with my trans roommate about it, and she was like, yeah, I don't know why that was happening. I was like, I don't either, but that was fine. I was okay with it. I was smiling after. And so I've always kind of had the identity, but it's just kind of flourished more in the last few years given the situation of what's happened. And especially that I'm no longer at home with the family that would kind of beat me down for these sort of things. Now, when I was 18, I think it was around 18 to 20, I did at one point identify as agender, not knowing where exactly I wanted to dip my toes in my identity, but it was not very long last. And I finally, now that I'm going out, introducing myself to people, I'm in a very supportive circle of friends who understand that when I say I'm at the table for an RPG or whatever, they understand me cross-playing or double cross-playing even as a trans mask, character or cosplaying as a male character, that it's not coming from a point of I'm doing it as a sort of fulfillment. It's just that's just me normally. So, and again, well, sexual identity comes from, little early things of how my life was shaped. It's no secret I've had a very traumatic past, but I always had sort of friends in my past that were very, very, I guess pillars of my life. Because when I was, I think I was 12 or 13, one of my first kisses was with one of my female best friends, and I hung around a lot of female friends when I was younger, and until that stopped, I got into things like Second Life, which that is nothing but self-discovery.
It was a whole thing.
It's a whole thing, yeah. So that was many, many years of my life from I think from 2006. Now again, I shouldn't have been on there, but it's the internet. From 2006 until 2014 for me, it was nothing but me discovering myself in that kind of community. And discovering whether it be kink or just my life and how I wanted to identify, it mostly stemmed from a lot of Second Life and a lot of my talking with the people there. One of the first people I started talking to there was a person who identified as male to begin with, but later became a trans woman who was one of my best friends for many years. And it was the perfect place for me to learn. Literally a playground for me to learn these sorts of things and such. So, and really me being gender flux is just the sort of thing of, again, it fits me the best. And continuing with the bisexuality or panromantic or biromantic, I just have a lot of love to give. I am not one to spare my love, and that going to platonic love as well. I'm not one to spare it whatsoever. And me being Demi is just that I am more to, if somebody gets to in those graces with me, I will give it further. So that's really how my identity works in full shape. So
yeah.
I relate to that a lot. In terms, my identity has never it's not connected to my physical existence. That's how, because I've been on the internet my whole life. VTubing is great, but I've basically been doing this with my, self personas, forever.
Right, exactly. Because with Shayna, she herself is a trans woman. And I make no secret of that. And at the same side, I myself am someone who identifies as just about anything, personally. So it's not like a crossplay or anything like that. It's literally she herself. I feel best in those boots whenever I V2, and it's just a comfortability thing. So yeah, it's not It is no way tied or bound to just my physical self at that point. It is literally a thing of how I want to present myself, be it voice, and that comes with the dysmorphia that I have with my face, my physical appearance in some senses, but I can literally break those ties even for just a moment online,
Yeah. I also have to interject, Shay, that if you were too young for Second Life in 2006, that means I'm even older than you.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, you might be older than me too then.
Yeah, I will go ahead and admit that. 2006, I believe, going back a couple years, I was 12. So.
Oh no.
Oh, you're a
think
lot
so.
younger than me, actually.
Yeah.
I am 30. I'll just say it. I'm
Oh.
almost 31.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I just turned a number that is a power of 2. It's important. It's important in computers. It's not
Oh my God.
16 and it's not 64. I'll let you figure out which one of those it
I
is.
see. Yes.
Oh my God.
Sun is the most powerful.
That's right. I'm an old android.
That whole step stool thing comes back to mind again.
Exactly. You listen here, you youngins. Let me tell you.
Get off my damn lawn! Get off my lawn!
Omega says you're 128.
Yes. You got it, Omega. You nailed it.
Math. Oh my God, amazing.
That's right, Wondy. I'm king of age.
That's
Oh my God.
androids for you.
Yeah. It's how I keep the beautiful looks. It's this artificial body.
Body sculpting, amazing.
Yes.
But yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that pretty much I've covered the basis with my identity and how it works. So if Sunset wanted to go, they're free
Okay.
to.
Yes, exactly, Omega. You understand. That's right. Like all my automatober friends, we understand. You can just be as beautiful as you want forever, because if the body falls apart, you just get a new one. Pretty good deal.
Upgrade.
Upgrade time. Well, speaking as my human persona for a minute. Yeah, so it's funny. So a lot of stuff that we've talked about so far kind of echoes things that I've been through in my life. So for kind of complicated reasons, I've basically known what trans and gay people were my entire life, but I never identified with it because the compet is strong, as we all know. So until my teens, I assumed I was a cisgender female person who liked men, because that's what you're given, that's what you assume. And on reflection, I had a lot of things that were counter to that, but I didn't see them because I also figured okay, well, everybody thinks that girls are cute sometimes, everybody feels whatever, and didn't really think about it as being an identity thing. And it's I got up to high school, and yeah, I had a lot of friends who were queer in some way. I had a lot of gay male friends. I had female friends who were bi or lesbian. It's oh yeah, that's cool, these are my friends. I didn't identify with the same stuff as them because at this point this is early 2000s still. So the only stuff I had media wise as exposure to say lesbian stuff was stuff like the L word, or yeah, or the kind of weird sterile shoujo ai series that we had available at that time. And I was cool for everybody else, this isn't me. But despite having lots of crushes on guys growing up, it was always a very romantic thing, but I think it's the idealized romanticism that you get with the kind of the shoujo thing, right? And I'd get to high school and I'd have female friends who were into guys, and they'd be oh, really into guys, oh, these guys are so sexy, ooh, I love how he smells. I'm I don't understand it. And I was maybe if I maybe if I get in a relationship with a guy, I'll feel that way. And then I dated at least one guy, I'm I still didn't feel it. And so I concepts through classes I took and stuff. And I remember the first dumb thing is I was reading an article for class, and they're talking about young people in high school who were experimenting with their sexualities and stuff, and had all their gay friends and were really open with stuff. And I was just man, I wish that was me. Just like didn't address that. And then at some point I learned about asexuality properly, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm just ace. Maybe that's why I was like, I would never want to sleep with a dude. Maybe I'm just ace. And I went with that for probably like the better part of a year. And then there was one day I was like just watching TV randomly. It was back when they still showed music videos on like MTV2. And there was a music video for his winter song by it's like Sarah Bareilles and what is that woman's name? Ingrid Michaelson. And the video is just this cute little video. It's like these two girls, and they live in this little house and live in this cute little cottage together. And for some reason, like I was just transfixed to this video. Like I was watching this, I'm like, oh my god, that's what I want. I want to just be in a nice real relationship with a girl and just it's like something clicked in me. I'm like, oh my god. And it's like, but because I still had like the latent, like, you know, heterosexuality ideas in there, I'm like, okay, well maybe I'm bi. So I went bi for a while, but then like as I considered it over the years, I'm like, okay, I am actually like I'm into like girls and I'm into like non-binary people. I'm not actually into like men, especially cisgender men. And but then because like that got so complicated, it's like, well, what do I call this then? And then so I stumbled on just the term like queer as just a blanket thing. I'm like, okay, that's me. I don't have to explain this. It's just I'm something. You're gonna deal with whatever it is.
Yep.
And then and it's like once I landed on that, pretty much it's when I kind of started thinking more about gender stuff. Because again, it was like at that point, like early Tumblr years, like kind of starting to get introduced to more gender ideas and stuff. And always in my life, I never felt connected to being female. Like, you know, it's like I do like girl stuff. Like I was in Girl Scouts and had like lots of female friends and things, but like there was always this disconnect and I couldn't explain it. And just like, I guess I'm a girl probably, but like it didn't feel right. And at the same time, it's just like, it's also the same thing too, like in early online stuff, I never went out of my way to say like, hey, I'm a girl on the internet, yada yada. Like it's just like, I'm in this space, and oftentimes I got assumed for a guy, especially given the spaces I was interacting with. And I didn't correct people, because I'm actually, I enjoyed this. Like I enjoy, first of all, I enjoy just not being judged by my gender, like in a space. But also it's like, there is something like that felt good about, okay, whatever I want to present myself as, that's what I can convince people who I am. And it's not that I'm lying to them, just like, this is how I actually feel in this moment. And there's something very complicated, very good about that, like when it works. And then, which is also fun because like, you know, I'd be in like fandom type spaces with like, they're like male dominated, and it's like, okay, I can be in this space and everybody here is talking about how hot these female characters are, and like, I was kind of doing it as like just going along with the space, but on retrospection, like, no, that's because I did think they were hot and I was happy I had a space I could talk about this in. And yeah, definitely have like the retrospective crushes. Like I had lots of crushes on guys, but I remember specifically in like 2nd to 5th grade or so, there was this girl who was in most of my classes, and I wasn't even friends with her because she was friends with this girl who I really hated. But I was just like obsessed with her. Like I was just fascinated with her. Like I would just like look at her all the time. And for years I'm like, why am I so fascinated with this girl? And then like, you know, 10 plus years later, I'm like, oh, I had a crush on her. And just stupid stuff like that. And like all these signs. And it's funny, like for both on like the like gender and like sexuality notes. So, if anybody has seen the semi-obscure anime Kino's Journey, which if not, the main character of that series, well, it's not like explicitly said, but they're essentially kind of a non-binary character. They're a character who like presents androgynously, but through backstory is revealed to presumably have been like an AFAB person. And like I had my little like, you know, cartoon crush on this because I watched when I was like 14, 15. And then they go to like this gender reveal from like the character's past. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it's a girl character. It's like, oh, well, I guess I can't have a crush on them. But I'm like, oh, but if they were a guy, but like the crush never went anywhere. And then like, then I started realizing, okay, wait, I kind of identify with this character. This is a character who is just, they're just living their life, and they are, you know, it's not connected to their gender for the most part. And like, that was really stuck with me. But like, even coming upon like non-binary stuff, I was figuring, okay, well, because like, I kind of don't really care about my gender. Like, you can see me as whatever you want to, like, in person. Because in person, I'm a very feminine-looking person. And there's, unfortunately, like, not like much I could do to change that without, like, major physical changes. But the thing is, like, I'm not uncomfortable with my, you know, femme-looking appearance. I just wish that I also had the option to not look femme if I wanted to. Like, ideally, my ideal, like, gender presentation is shapeshifter. I want to just be whatever at any time.
Oh, mood. I wish, same.
Yeah, right? It's just like, I want to just pick, like, on any day and just go something totally different. But, yeah, but because of that, well, I'm like, well, because I don't have, like, this major, you know, dysphoria or anything, I'm like, can I be non-binary if I, you know, I'm not, like, androgynous all the time or, like, whatever. And it did take me, like, several years where I was like, no, this is a large umbrella. I can be non-binary. I can, you know, even if I don't care if in my day-to-day life people call me she, her because it's unavoidable, like, at least in other spaces where I can choose my, you know, my identity more, so, you know, I would like to be, you know, referred to me as other things sometimes because I'm not just she, her. So, but it's a thing. But yeah, but my favorite thing lately is just there was like, I had retweeted it, but it's like the meme going around. It's like, oh, some people are trans, some people are bi, some people are arcade carpet, and it's showing all the flags. It's like shows like the picture of like the colorful arcade carpet sprinkles, and I'm like, you know what? I know this is a joke, but literally that's my gender and sexuality is like 80s arcade carpet. Like that's me. I have no words to define it, and I don't want them. I just want to be a shape-shifting blob. But yeah, that's
a big mood.
Yeah, that's me pretty much.
I mean, it's the whole thing of like why Shayna is a freaking shapeshifter. I mean,
yeah, like it's,
it is a big ass mood.
Yeah, like I've always been obsessed with like trickster type characters because like, you know, in like media, even going back in like myth and stuff, like a lot of times trickster characters are very like gender fluid in their stuff, and like they have the powers that they can just change themselves, and I've always been like kind of obsessed with that. So
big mood.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I definitely get that.
I always kind of felt like, cause I do have a very feminine appearance. I got real big booba. And so I thought, and because I'm not like generally not unhappy with that, I was like, well, you know, I guess this is all I can be. Like, no one's ever gonna like register me as anything else. But like, so crossplay was kind of it's funny to me to think about it. But one of the first times I had like a non-binary gender euphoria was when I was cosplaying Shu from Audible Boyfriend. I need a binder, but I haven't decided on one yet because I just want to do that sometimes, you know. I wish I could shapeshift.
Yeah,
it's a mood is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
son.
exactly. Yeah, see, that's the problem. Is like I have the big booba, and I'm super curvy, so I'm like, there'd have to be some major work done for anybody to read me as anything other than female. And I'm just like, I think I don't mind it because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I make a damn cute girl. I just wish that I could be things other than girls sometimes too.
Yeah, mood.
Yeah,
biggest mood.
The big booba is a whole thing. I'm depending on the store that you're going to. I'm between like E cup and G cup.
I'm in
so
H cup.
it's just oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm an F cup. I understand. We are all big booba here.
I was looking about the same as Rem.
Yeah, I guess I'm like triple D. So whatever that, because it's also sometimes called other things.
Yeah.
Triple D is F.
Yeah,
so.
there we go.
It's difficult, and also like I am really sensitive to like binders. I've gotten I've gotten like a custom made binder, but like I wore it for 30 minutes and started getting rib pain.
Gosh.
So it's really difficult with that. And then also like I have like not to get too into it, but I have like history and like bad memories when it comes to people, specifically cis men, interacting with my breasts. So like so for me, like I just want them gone 100% forever. I would like to maybe be able to purchase a silicone breastplate if I wanted to do drag, but that's like as much as I would want to like change it. I just want them gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had removable boobs. I want them maybe sometimes, and then not other times.
I actually had a conversation with my therapist today about looking into surgery options, or surgical options for gender identity and so forth. And they were wondering like why hadn't I looked into them, and one reason why was because my boyfriend has made comments in the past about it, and it's just a constant thing of, you know, just the way that cis men will make remarks about a feminine body and so forth, especially when you're in a relationship with said cis man. And it's like, well, you know, that's why I hadn't even considered it because of previous comments. But new things have developed where it's like, well, maybe I can consider that. And, you know, I just don't know if I could continue not conforming to what makes me comfortable. Because I've recently gotten a binder myself, and while yes I can wear it, it's very uncomfortable and so forth. So
I'm happiest when they're out of sight, so I tend to just not wear a bra so that they're as far down as possible. As far out of my peripheral as possible.
Yeah, binders are not kind on the big booba, so.
No, they're not.
I have one, and like honestly, the best feel I had was wearing my binder, but also wearing a skirt with it. But also wearing a binder for a long time for me, because I have like large boobs. It's like uncomfortable after a while, so I'm just like
yeah, it's like when I was like thinking about like, you know, surgery and stuff is like, you know, again when I was like looking into more gender stuff, thinking about my own gender, I remember having the thought at one point, I'm like, well, because this is before actually I kind of realized that non-binary was more of a thing. I'm like, well, if I'm not female, what if I, you know, was like transmasc or something? I was like, okay, well, what if like I transitioned, because then I could like be masculine. And I was like, oh, yeah, that would be cool. And I thought about it for a little bit. I'm like, but then what if I wanted to look feminine again? And I was like, why not? Oh God, why can't I just go back and forth?
Yeah, big mood. I just want to see what I look like with a beard. I don't want to commit to shaving or not shaving.
Trust me, you don't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think beards. Unfortunately, most people can't pull them off. Although I think I might look good with a cartoon goatee, like just a real like villain goatee. Yeah, you can twirl around.
I'm screwed because I am like, I have PCOS, and also just like familially ridiculous body hair runs in my family. My mom's the same way, even though she doesn't have PCOS, and so I gotta shave anyway. It sucks. I hate it.
Yes. Same,
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, that's all I was saying. I was like, it's the exact same.
Yeah, no, I actually have PCOS, and yeah, so shaving is a kind of but it is a thing.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I think the last person to talk about their journey is Issy.
Yeah, Issy.
Okay, let's see. I think there's a lot more to say about like my gender stuff than sexual orientation. So, I guess starting out, I would say, like, like, I would say, like, I was about, just trying to, like, flash back to my tadpole days.
I say when you were a wee tadpole.
I guess I'll say, like, I was pretty internalized, like, starting out. Like, I had no, like, I didn't feel like I really, I don't know how to describe it. But I suppose, like, my very, very first, like, time I, like, kind of thought or considered it, like, gender stuff was, like, between, like, ages, like, 9 or 12. And it mainly came up as, like, I was perusing, like, YouTube one day, and as far as, like, puberty went, I was a bit of an early bloomer, so, like, you know, one of my YouTube ventures was, lesbian content, and, like, you know, I was just watching, and, like, the thought just crossed my mind, like, you know, like, you know, considering, like, how much I enjoy, like, watching this content and stuff, like, like, the thought just crossed my mind, like, hey, if I, like, got a sex change or something, I could be a lesbian too. And, like, you know, I pondered for a minute, because, like, I vaguely understood how sex change worked. Like, I knew as much as, like, as far as, like, you know, AMAB sex change, like, usually it's turning the equipment inside out. And, like, I didn't really think too much about it, but, like, the idea of, like, presenting feminine, like, didn't entirely bother me. Nowadays, like, you know, as feminine as I enjoy being, like, I don't want a sex change, like, not even remotely. I have no desire. But then, like, it just kind of came in, like, little spurts over the course of time, like just little blips as I was growing and developing. And again, like, I was thinking, like, I suppose, like, I don't really have a history of having dysphoria. Like, I feel like if I really, really had to, like, I probably could live my life as a guy. But, I think it was, like, by around the time, like, I was in, like, junior, senior in high school, you know, that's when I was starting, like, getting involved with, like, Tumblr and stuff, and just having all this wave of different, like, gender and sexuality, identity stuff, like, thrown in my face, and I'm thankfully just naturally the inquisitive type, so, like, I wanted to know more. And over time, like, again, initially, like, it felt good to, like, understand a lot of that stuff, but like I still failed to sort of make the connect. And so, like, it was purely for like, again, like inquisitive, like curious, like I was just curious. And like during like that time in high school, like one time on Tumblr, I was gonna be like, I'm gonna go for a week using she, her pronouns and just see how that turns out. And like among the engagement, as far as like all the people I followed, like the engagement was actually very little, but I think like that gave me the opportunity to like, you know, because I overthink absolutely everything, and I talk to myself a lot, and I'm just kind of, you know, it comes with kind of being neurodivergent, so and so like I would constantly think of like the ways I would think of myself, and you know, how I would address myself, like even in my inner thoughts. And I suppose like after that week was over, like it's kind of like I didn't want it to stop. Not yet. And after that, that kind of culminated into you know, just knowing how my comfortability was in that time. You know, I was like, you know, maybe I'm all right, like being kind of fluid about this, like you know, maybe I'm gender fluid, you know, and I would like accept like any pronouns and all that stuff, and that essentially lasted for about a year. And you know, I had a whole deal where like I came out to all of like my local peers, like friends, family. This was after I graduated though. And like, you know, I was just explaining like, you know, this is what gender fluid means, this is what I've been feeling lately, and just like, hey, if y'all would like like I might appreciate if like you might juggle around pronouns a little bit. And and so how that turned out, especially in regards to family, is like, even though I explicitly said like use anything, you know, by and large they would only use like he, him. And I realized like over this course of a year, you know, like the he, hims just kind of started like piling up and up and up, and like no other pronouns are being used really, except like occasionally for like online spaces. But it's like, you know, that was occasional versus like constantly. And like I just kind of grew to be frustrated with it. And you know, like by this time I think like I had some of like my first like women's clothing, and like when I tried them on, like it felt absolutely amazing. And yeah, essentially like a year after coming out as fluid, like I kind of did a second coming out, like, you know what, like the whole thing with masculinity and he, him pronouns and being thought of as like a boy, a man, you know, a brother, a son, like I don't vibe with this anymore. Like I can't really find enjoyment with this anymore. And so like I kind of put my foot down, like I'm a woman now. And that's kind of how it's stayed so far. There were moments where like I might consider, like even today, like I might consider like finding like they them acceptable. Although like I suppose like part of the reason like I have kind of such disdain for like who I was prior to transition, prior to my egg cracking is admittedly like in my actually I think like a better way to describe it would be my caterpillar years, whereas now I'm a butterfly. In my caterpillar years I don't think I was a very good person at that time. And so, like, there was a lot that I kind of internalized with, you know, with that half of my life. And so, like, there was so much baggage to it, and, like, a lot of that came from the fact that I was also exposed to a lot of like aspects of toxic masculinity, and like a lot of the person I was in that time was like I felt like I had to be this way because that's what society told me to be as a guy, and like even if, like, I didn't entirely agree with it then, it's like, even still, there was just, like, another level to go. And, you know, at this point, like, it's just... I don't want it anymore. It's just kind of poison to me. It's not really worth hanging on to. And so it wasn't, like, entirely, like, you know, I just happened to like being a woman better. It's also that, like, my experience with being a guy is not all that positive for me. So there's sort of, like, an extra compounded layer to it. And so, like, here I am today, and I still have no regrets. I love myself a lot more as a woman. You know, I've since become like a lot more confident and more sure of myself, even if because like mental illness is a fuck. You know, like I still struggle with like self-doubt, and you know, I have depression and anxiety and all that stuff, but like hardly any of it is related to my self as a woman, really. And I know, like, even if I didn't really have dysphoria starting out, you know, it's kind of something that like kind of grows into you as like you start to embrace that end of yourself. And so, like, I remember, like, if, you know, appointments with my therapist and stuff, like, you know, like, the prospect of, like, what if I can't get on hormones? And, like, that thought, like, just shook me. Like, it terrified me. Like, if I can't ever, like, for whatever reason, like, I'm just... It's that whole, like, am I trans enough to qualify for this? And, I mean, like, there's also, like, just the fact, like, trans medicalism is garbage, and, like, you don't have to be on hormones to, you know, qualify as trans and all that stuff, and, you know, regardless, like, give me curves, give me booba.
Would you like my booba? You can have it.
Thank you.
Everybody
All
raise your
yours.
hands. Give your booba to Izzy.
Oh no, wait, she's going to
Combine
too
our
much
power.
booba.
Also, Issy, chat is fully agreed that you're adorable
Yes.
because it's true, and we
Yeah.
all love Issy.
I don't need my lily pads anymore. I just have 2 buoyance devices. And then, let's see, my sapphic act, my lesbianism, my oh look a girl, I love her. It's kind of, by contrast, like, it kind of was that way, like, from the very start. Like, I just love women. From a very early age, like, I had, like, quote-unquote crushes, or, like, puppy crushes, like, as young as, like, 5 years old. And a lot of my, like, earliest and, like, best friends were girls, or, like, right up until, like, it was up until middle school where, like, I kind of backed off because, like, only because, like, I felt like I had to. And, like, and then it was, like, back around to high school where, like, I started hanging around with girls more often again. And just, I vastly prefer their company, like, in any given space. I prefer being with, like, mom over my dad, or talking with my female teachers over the males. Preferring, like, female therapist to male and all that stuff. And just, like, that's a consistent thing. And, I also know, like, it also kind of plays into, like, small little details of, like, hey, you might be trans, like, around, like, when I was, like, in high school and stuff, like, I would go into role-play groups, particularly on DeviantArt, and, virtually all the time, like, I would play as a girl, like, always a girl. I never felt compelled to roleplay, like, men or anything. And even today, like, if I roleplay, like, because I know, like, I really enjoy D&D and a bunch of tabletop stuff, like, I know I still continue to be, like, I'm, either going to be a girl or I'm going to be, like, non-binary in some sense.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, previously I would have, prior to realizing I was trans, I would have just described myself as, I kind of squint when I think of this word now, as a philogynist. Like, I love women so much. I love being around them and everything about them. And as far as how my attraction plays out in regards to men, it's always been kind of murky. Again, like, I've had periods where I question if I might be bi or anything, but mainly it's kind of like mainly my exposure to, like, any attraction towards men was essentially, like, fictional. And I know that's a common thing among a lot of lesbians. Like, there's such an incongruence between, like, fictional men and real men.
Yeah, fake dudes are great.
Yeah. And so, like, especially, like, when it comes to content, you know, like gay content and stuff. Like, I found myself like, okay, I can kind of get into this, and then I immediately think like, if I ponder like if I were to do that like with a guy, and I was like, no, no thanks. It's like it's a little while ago. I was like I would be able to say like if you were to ask me if I would want like a romantic or sexual attraction with a man, I would immediately tell you no. But if you were specifically to ask me if I was attracted to men, I would just like short circuit. Like I couldn't even tell you. And really, it's my only reference point was again that content and so like I kind of relayed that to some of my LGBT friends, and they were like, "Yeah, that's not the greatest reference point." Like,
Yeah.
The man in my mind wants your number.
So yeah, it's mainly like I've considered it now like I could maybe like get into like, hey, they're doing that to each other, like that's pretty good. And then like once I insert myself into that equation, it's like run away, I'm off, I am hopping away into the night, I am and I know like there's also just like whole tangents about like the relationship between being trans as well as being lesbian, and there was a time where like I really struggled, and to a degree, like to a very small degree I still do, but like part of like it's kind of like my identity as a lesbian sort of played out into how I saw myself as a trans woman, in that like it really felt like essentially I had some aspect of internalized transphobia, in that like if I felt like if specifically if cis lesbians weren't able to find me attractive, like that somehow lessened my like my value as being like a trans woman. It's like it's almost like if they didn't see me as like woman enough to be attracted to me. And
big mood in the other direction, but big mood. Yeah.
And like there was just a period where I struggled with this so badly, and so like every once in a while I would like vent to my other like trans friends, like this is like at the time I phrased it as if like this wasn't just a me thing, like it was kind of like just a trans woman thing in general. And so like what ended up happening was I was venting about it, and like I was phrasing it in ways that like like cis lesbians never really think about trans women as far as like the kind of women they're attracted to and all that stuff, and like I was just getting really depressed about it, and I can't remember exactly the way I phrased it, but I said something that like alluded to like since cis lesbians don't find us attractive, then like what is our worth as trans lesbians? And one of my friends explicitly said, okay, you need to stop because this is making me dysphoric. And like that was kind of a wake-up call I got, that like it's like, hey, maybe this kind of thinking, it's like, maybe this is transphobic. Like, maybe this doesn't, maybe this is not good. Maybe, cut this out. And I know, like, it was sort of compounded, like, when I was talking to my dad once, and, like, he was asking me, because, like, this was earlier on when I came out as trans, that, like, he was asking me, like, like, which way do you swing? Like, do you... I know he said, like, in the past he said you were straight, so, like, does that mean, like, you're into guys? And so, like, I was like, no, I'm pretty much a lesbian, like, I'm only attracted to women. And, like, he said, well, okay, that's interesting. Like, how is that something, like, you can reconcile, considering, like, the body you were born with? And, like, over the course of time, like, it just came to, like, manifest as that internalized transphobia. And then when I, snapped out of it, like, it was, I mean, for one, like, it's entirely untrue that, cis lesbians can't be attracted to trans women. Like, I already know plenty of cis lesbians who are, and then there's the aspect that, like, considering my dad is a cis man, like, his capacity to, like, comprehend sexual attraction is mainly only from one perspective, and largely, like, the way that men are attracted to girls is not really the same as the way women are attracted to each other. And so, like, yeah, that was a whole thing. And now, like, I'm comfortably, like, I've easily been able to, like, reconcile with that, even if it still pops up now and again. Like, I am trans, I am a lesbian, I am a woman, I love women, I love being a woman. Fear me.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh man.
I think it's a major thing to, like, be able to, you were saying earlier about, like, going with she, her pronouns for a week. Something, I had a really good, strong support system on Twitter when I was, like, going through the gender. And I was able to say, let's try this name, let's try this, this pronoun, and, like, creating that environment. If you are a person that wants to be, like, an ally to, like, trans people, one of those things is, like, creating an environment where there is no, like, judgment. If a person's going on a gender journey, like, let them go on the gender journey, and, like, also let them know that, like, even if they go through this and, like, come back with the realization that they are in fact cis, like, you still love them, and you're still proud of them. Yeah, like, that's totally okay, because like, that's something that's really, for a lot of people, like, until you have permission, until you feel like you have permission to do that, you really can't. Even with sexuality, when you're questioning and stuff like that, it feels like, well, what if I'm just doing this to fit into this friend group? Or what if I'm just doing this to give myself some oppression or something like that?
It's the whole thing again. It's like, it's the, like, you must be this trans to ride, that I think is still, like, it's still very hard to, like, root out of the community, because people have such weird standards about stuff. And
yes, the oppression bingo card, which and
people have these standards, so then it's like, okay, then you introduce this doubt on anybody who's, like, in any stage of questioning, or, like, discourage them, because, like, we're like, okay, well, if I don't know right away, like, I'm just looking for attention. And it's not that, like, you're genuinely, like, you have to sort through these things.
And,
there's,
like, Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, if there's one thing that I could say, like, to the entire community as a whole, be gentle with questioning people, please.
Yeah.
Please give
Mhm.
them time and space to explore. Because some people, some people don't have to go through that, but for some of us, it takes a really long time, and it's really difficult. So please, be gentle to questioning
Yeah.
people.
Because I've been on this journey at this point, like, 12 years of my life. I'm like, I still don't know where I am, so.
Yeah, and like and that goes both ways. Like to a certain extent, unless you are very close to a person, you can laugh along to the egg jokes they make about themselves, but like don't like tag them in a picture of eggs. Like
Yeah.
unless you're like really close to that person and you're having these conversations that are getting really in depth, like there can be like this pressure. And I know that a lot of times like it can feel like, oh, now if I decide that I'm cis, or well, not decide, if I like find out discover that I'm cis, then I'm letting down everyone who's been expecting me to be a trans person. So like on both sides, don't pressure them to be trans, don't pressure them to not be trans. Like unless you're having like really close conversations with them, then of course you can joke about it, but like that's like another level of like being with that. And I feel that I see that a lot with people that have parasocial relationships with people, and them doing the egg jokes and stuff like that, that could push somebody away from self-discovery.
Yeah.
And so like to a certain extent, I would definitely say to anybody that wants to be an ally or even just be a better friend, like when a person goes on a gender quest or like starts questioning their sexuality or anything like that, just let them and be there for them and talk to them and say, hey, if you want to bounce these things off of me, absolutely, but don't pressure them any direction, and make sure that they know, at least say it once, that like, hey, if this all comes around and you just understand yourself better, but nothing about your identity changes, I'm still your friend and I still like you very much. Like, like it means a lot for a trans person to hear that, or for a questioning person to hear that. I feel like it means a lot for anybody to hear that, of just like, even if this doesn't happen, even if like you're not gonna do this, like you don't have to. Like I'm still here for you in the long haul either way.
Yes, like allow people the space to find out these things about themselves for sure, whether or not they land the way you think they're going to.
Right.
Yeah. It's the exact. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah. And at the end of the day, like a lot of people go on. For me, like just existing the way that I do and the way that I overanalyze and just vocalize my overanalyzation to people. I've had a lot of people who are around me go on gender journeys, and both my fiance and my best friend went on it and were like, well, now I know what being a woman means to me, or now I know what being a man means to me, and what it doesn't mean to me, and the parts that I don't want it. And that's still like a self-discovery that makes you a better person in the end. Like even if even if it doesn't change anything about your label or anything like that, it's still going on that examination process is still really, really important. I wish that like it was normalized for everyone to go through that, to question if they like their name. Yeah.
Big agree.
Right.
Big agree. Like
it is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, it is never a bad thing to just think about it. Like, there is never a downside to thinking about how you relate to your gender. Like, you can, like, once you're at the end of that process, if you think, hey, okay, yeah, I am actually comfortable with how I was assigned and, everything, and this is how I want to be, that's fine. Like, just like I think it's good for everybody. Like I just said in chat, it's super useful for people to explore things and think about, because like it is not a simple thing, and there is so much stuff that people wind up doing just because they are expected to and pressured to throughout their whole lives. And sometimes you think about it and you think, hey, I don't actually have to do that, and it doesn't. And you know, maybe your gender identity is not going to change, but you will understand yourself better at the end of that process and be more comfortable
Well,
with who you are.
It's the whole thing of it helps downtrodden and put down the whole thing of toxic masculinity or even toxic femininity, which is totally a thing, and helps people understand, because once they go on those introspective journeys and actually have a moment of metacognition and forethought into not only themselves, it helps them become more sympathetic and empathetic to the experiences of the people and friends that, around themselves that are either LGBT aligned, LGBT people themselves, and sit there and no longer require their friends who are LGBT aligned having to backbend to explain themselves whenever they're going through something. Because the moment somebody starts questioning, they start doing research and they look into things, and they better gather themselves with knowledge, knowing now that, oh, so that means that, and that's what you were trying to tell me the entire time, rather than leaving themselves ignorant to the fact of things that somebody goes through. Yeah. And that's it's never a bad thing for somebody to question, because at that point they're studied, and you know, they can better, you know, assist friends that would need an ally in that case, you know.
It's there's really no downside to thinking about it and learning more about it.
Absolutely. And also, like, there's no downside to, well, there are some downsides to talking about it like we are right now. Sometimes, like, there's real oppression out there. Job oppression and housing. I've actually been denied an apartment because the people that I was going to be renting from wanted a traditional family, and basically I'm pretty sure that they looked at my Facebook account and saw that I was trans.
Stinky.
Yeah, it's gross. So it's just like there is like but when we talk about this and when we like go over this, the more we say this and like let out this message, not only the more does it get around, but even if a person who isn't sure or doesn't know really how to interact with that, just hearing it over and repeated over and over again helps them believe it, you know? And especially for like that questioning person that's constantly like, well, I can't be trans because I don't want this surgery or these hormones or like this voice or something like that. And like the more we normalize and just repeat this over and over again of just like whatever you come up with is okay, just let yourself search through it. Give yourself permission to not fit into a label, not fit into a box. Like I said, I had to choose non-binary and trans man because there's an asterisk there. And like the more we say that, the more people can like hear it and believe it. And I feel like that's really powerful and important, especially like in this day, because there's so much emphasis on labels. And honestly, as a person that's found a lot of like comfort in labels, comfort in like having a name for the specific kind of new like non-binary that I am, like having those kinds of things, at the end of the day, like the way you interact with different people is going to change how you feel about different things, and it doesn't need to invalidate your identity or anything. There are times where you can put your identity aside and just be like, figure out what a relationship with a person is going to be like. And it's very like it's hard to like believe that, and it's hard to not have that be as invalidating as misgendering and stuff like that. But it really isn't. It's just a whole muddy water.
It is. It's very
Yeah.
complex.
And that's
Absolutely.
in that sense, like, I know I've always like low-key kind of admired like non-binary folk in the sense like there are all these terms, all these labels, and literally like just a whole gender Serengeti. And
Mhm.
and like they have all these options, and as someone as like inquisitive as I am, like wow. Like that's just kind of
I keep learning about new terms like once a week. It feels like every time I'm like, oh wait, that one's me, and then I learn like, wait, no, that one's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one watching Al's stream with all of the flags recently. They did a stream, and I would recommend that to anybody. Ala Lamponi did a stream where ranking all the ranking as many flags as they could find for identities, purely based on aesthetics. But like going through them, like they knew they went over what each of them meant. And there was one that said that like has a flag and it's a crow like in the middle, and there's like diamond patterns radiating out from it. And it was specifically like when you are a person that collects labels. It just collects them. And it was like, that's a mood. But it's so great to like, because then once you hear that, it's like, oh, so it's not like I'm just seeking out, other people feel this way too. Like it's really helpful to have those labels to a certain extent, but it also like, it's really important for people not to police other people's labels, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
my gender is ooh shiny.
Yeah, right? Like
Yeah.
My gender is Becky. Let me smash. Would you like some blue?
I brought you yellow.
Back in high school, I used to refer to myself as an amoeba. I was like, just simply do not refer to me.
Right?
Do not perceive me.
Yeah, and then there's like some trans people that don't want you to use pronouns. They want you to use their name every time they say it. Every time you refer to them specifically, they want you to like say like Julep left Julep's keys on the table. I hope Julep comes back to get them soon. And
Oof.
and that's like it's difficult,
Rough.
but it's also like
But yeah.
it's
If that's their form of validation, that's completely fine. However, and it's your right, or it's your your duty as a human being to respect that, as respect a person whenever they ask for that.
Yeah.
And like, and then with like sexualities and stuff like that, there are people that identify as bi and lesbian at the same time, and that works differently for every person. And like at the end of the day, like we can't you don't know that person's full story, and you don't know that person's experience, but at the same time, like they don't know yours either. So there should be that like respect and like general like acknowledgement of like, okay, this is how you identify yourself, and so therefore this is how I am going to refer to you. Yeah, with sexuality and gender.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing of why I consider myself bi/pan romantic. It's like I believe in like a very kind of freedom in my the people I'm romantic with, but at the same time, pan is not generally a term people relate to very well. So bi is an easier way to put it, So that's exactly why I use the label.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite, so I use I find a lot of comfort in the history of the community that is defined by bisexuality, like the musicians that have identified themselves as bisexual, and like just that whole that whole like history that's with that word. But then I've spoken to some trans people that are like, yeah, if a person says that they're bisexual, they're usually going to want to have a specific type of sexual relationship with me. Like a specific, they specifically want, like, they have an idea of how they want our bits to interact, basically.
Right.
And but when people say they're pan, they usually don't, they don't care.
Mhm.
And so that's why I've started using bi/pan, because I just want it to be like open, of just like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's
Like,
exactly how I work. Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't care, but like
Mhm.
bi is a
Yeah.
term that most people are understand easier than pan.
Mhm.
So
It-
in general conversation, I'd say pan, or bi, but pan is just the openness to it.
Yes,
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
is pretty much like in general. It's like I will, generally tend towards like sapphic/lesbian, because like I'm primarily attracted to like more femme people, and I normally end up leaning more femme in presentation myself. But really, it's more like queer, because it's like, okay, I don't really know what my gender is, and also I don't really care about the gender of my partner outside of like just not like totally male cis dudes.
You're right.
So, and then like that's so hard to pin down. So it's like yeah, I can be a
Yeah.
lesbian, but it's also I'm just something. I like cute people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in my case, I go with bi, both because, like, it's what I have always called myself, and then also because, like, I don't know if there are differences in my attraction between genders, and what I suspect is that it's too fluid for me to ever really define, and so the way that most people use pan, as I have, like, encountered people who call themselves pan, is that they don't have differences in their attractions based on genders. And so for me, that's why I stick with bi, even though I can be attracted to any gender. Like, there's not any specific subset of genders that I am attracted to, which bi can overlap with pan in that way, because it's just two or more. It is multiple. That's all it means. But there can be differences in the attraction and things like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that just the whole thing with being a lesbian, like the deal breaker is not like the attraction to women, it's just like the lack of attraction to men. And I know, like, lesbian as a term is inclusive of non-binary folk. But as far as me personally, if someone were to ask me, like, are you attracted to non-binary folk? I can't in good faith say yes or no, just because I know that being non-binary is such, like...
It's wide. It's a wide label.
Yeah, it's like it can mean, like, virtually anything. And so, like, literally, I could only, like, reconcile that with on a case-by-case basis. Like, I could be attracted to them or them, but maybe not them. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that, like, lesbian history, just as a trans man, lesbian history, like, it used to involve trans men, and so, like, there still is, like, some muddy water there when, like, I have found myself in a situation a couple of times where there is a person that I'm attracted to who identifies as a lesbian, and they're attracted to me, and I identify as a trans man, and we're both so scared of invalidating each other's identities that we just don't do anything with that. But it's just
standoff.
Yeah. And it's just so, like, and like, I would never want, like, a person to change how the term that they've found comfort in for me, for one person. I can't imagine that. So, like, I can't imagine being able to do that for anyone else. Granted, like, I am interested in most people, but like I could never like change what I call myself, just because it is the word that I found, the word that I've called myself since I was young, and like this word that means a lot to me. And so like it's very interesting to like have. I feel like the big thing is like it is important to have those conversations, but it's also like important to give people space to figure out on case-by-case basis is exactly what that means for certain relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to Turkey. Have a good
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, thank
Have
you.
a good day, Turkey.
See, it's just interesting for me, like, not to get too much talking anybody else's stuff, but like, so my girlfriend is also like transmasc non-binary. And it's like we still like go with the term like girlfriend because we just agree it's very cute. But like, like over the course of my knowing them for like 10 years, like they've, gone from like just being like a, more female self, a person who realized like, no, I'm like more masculine, more non-binary. And so like, slowly like realizing with myself is like, okay, no, I do have a wider range of attraction than like I thought I did because like I'm still attracted to this person, like in the way that they are presenting themselves now. So it's like, okay, there is more to I think than it's not that I just like women, it's just like there is a range that pretty much stops short of like, masculine cis men, but like anything else pretty much like I'm more or less open to, so.
Yeah. And for me, like, I know that I can be attracted to anyone, but I specifically do not pursue straight men. Like men who identify as straight, whether they're trans or or cis, because for some reason, like, just because of like the history of the patriarchy and stuff like that, the way that straight men like it feels more invalidating than if a lesbian's attracted to me and pursuing that. It's there will always be a thought in the back of my mind with straight men specifically of like, oh, they don't actually believe me. They don't actually feel this way about me. They actually see me as the gender that my genitals line up with. So like it's just difficult with that.
Yeah, like in my case, it's funny because like I don't specifically go out of my way to not pursue or be attracted to straight men, but I just generally am not. Like it hasn't, as far as I know, it's possibly never happened. So
yeah, it's like I'm in
so valid.
a spot where I'm like, like there are some like cis men that like I do find attractive and like I like them as people. I'm like, so I could probably be in a relationship with a cis guy on the caveat that he was ace, because I'm like nothing's gonna happen there, but I still like you in like I could still like you in a romantic way. So,
and to me, it's just like straight men. So if a man would be ace, I would still be interested in like pursuing whatever relationship would happen between us if I was like of course it's a case-by-case basis, because like ace is like a very it's part of the acronym and it should be part of the acronym and it's like part of the community for sure. Yeah.
oh gee, what's your channel? We're just trying to get all the channels up.
I can type it in real quick.
yeah,
I
like
think it's Bonichi.
I tried to make a document with all of this stuff in it so I could easily, but I have misplaced it, so I'm having to go and find.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I really just need to get a shout out command set up. That is what I need to do. I have been told you can do it with stream elements because I don't really want to mess with Nightbot because Nightbot is intense.
Yeah. I had my whole chat banned for a little while.
Yeah,
for, like,
that was a
5
funny
minutes.
day.
It was really funny.
What the heck?
Yeah, my
Not
friend kept using
banned,
the
but
exclamation
like
points.
timed out.
Oh my god.
too many
Yeah.
exclamation points, too many
Like,
capital letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was trying to start up the Streamlabs spot at the start, and like I realized the Streamlabs spot couldn't post links because it wasn't a mod, so I modded it, and I thought I had like links allowed, and then 2 seconds later somebody else tried to post a link, and then Streamlabs bot, now a mod's like, no, get out of the chat. I'm like, no, stop, stop.
Who the fuck you think you is coming up in here posting links?
Exactly. In my chat.
So
It's very
in
funny.
Juleps, Nightbot fights Pretzel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh my
I
God.
also use Pretzel Rock. So I had it I don't want links in my chat generally, just because like I'm an anxious person and I've seen like how people control other people with links, so I don't even want the temptation to click on other people's links. So I set my Nightbot to not allow links, but Pretzel Rock, when you're using Pretzel Rock application, it'll post the name of every song and the link to it where you can find that song as the song starts. And so I would have my bots
no.
fighting.
I got bot wars. That's so
And
good.
I had to unmod Nightbot because I didn't have like I didn't have like I was in the middle of the stream, so I didn't want to change anything, but I unmodded Nightbot and so it just was yelling at everyone, but especially Pretzel Rock. I'm enemy number 1 to Julep's Nightbot for trying to post links. I know, and I've done it in your chat too, Al, where like I don't know. I really should allow. I think there's a thing to allow links from specific domains, and I guess I should put twitch.tv as one of them. But yeah.
We got pronouns.
Oh, there we go. Got labels. Yay.
Did I get
We
them
got
all right?
pronouns.
They're all right, I
Look at them
think.
pronouns.
I hope.
We got pronouns.
Oh my god.
I want an anti-noun.
I want to see, as a cis straight male, I want to see more representation of like people like me in this sleepover.
I think you've come to the
well,
wrong sleepover then.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have the wrong sleepover. This is an LGBT plus, and so that's the most important thing.
Yep.
It's Pride Month.
Okay.
We're here. We're
Al,
queer.
Kenya.
Well, it's not LBG,
I got it.
LBGT only, but I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
you can definitely be here to learn, but you can't.
Yeah. You can't be doing that.
Come on.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. It's like go watch Markiplier. Come on.
Yeah, go watch
Right.
Markiplier.
Oh, come on, Mark! Don't give Mark a bad rap like that. Mark's good.
But he is cis and straight, so
Yeah.
that's why
But
I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't send him off to anyone worse than Markiplier. I
Why-
don't want
why
him
not-
to
why
a
not-
bad person.
Well, just say PewDiePie.
well, no, we don't want to send them there.
Oh no. Oh no.
That's a bad person. I don't even.
not to the bad place.
Oh,
The sunken
I
place.
I
The
see you,
sunken
me and
place.
Julep. We want our Rex to be on the level.
I need to like what I don't know any straight men. I'm trying to think of one. I mean I think I follow but no, he's bi.
That's the problem. Is like once you start hanging around lots of queer folks, it's like all the not queer
Markiplier's
folks.
good. You would
they
send over to
slowly-
Dream as punishment for crime. Yeah,
Yeah.
given that whole
Yeah.
thing with Dream recently, I think Dream's a good one to send to.
Yeah,
No,
for the
I don't
punishment.
want to send people to bad people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so
Because I think it's like all my friend groups for like the past like 10 years. I'm like, do I even know any straight people anymore? Where did they go?
Very few. Very few.
Oh
Yeah.
god, what did he do this time? Well, he released a music
yeah.
video that had quote unquote normal pills in it, and he was okay with having an anti-black friend group. So yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Maybe
when
he'll
it
go away sometime.
Also, something that I've noticed, Son, is that when people that think they're straight start hanging out with LGBT people, they usually aren't straight for very much longer. Once they start getting into, they're like, "Oh, ace is a thing."
Yeah, hang on.
Like I could be ace. I didn't know that was an option, or things like that. Or
Yeah.
let's
Yeah,
talk
I had
about
one-
gender.
I had one straight friend, and then last year she came out to us, and I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
I love the
honestly.
arguments like, gay people want to make your children gay. It's like, no, we just want to allow them to realize that maybe they are gay already.
Yep.
Yeah.
More
Be
people are
comfortable enough to say it.
There are probably more bisexual people than society is willing to
Yeah.
Yeah, for
acknowledge.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the whole left hand thing. You've heard about what's happened with that, right?
What?
Yeah.
People with who are left hand are being persecuted less and less for being left hand. So more people are coming out as being left handed.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a rise of it.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder about the other things that are people being persecuted less and less for, and they're coming out with it,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe more people are ambidextrous than we think.
I'm laughing at Lost in the chat.
and not because they're leaving the server.
Yeah.
I love everything about that.
That's not
eggs,
surprising
man.
to me with Ubineko.
I-
Not at all.
I've got to screenshot that because that is just hold on, that is gold. Oh my god.
What happens?
They're putting chemicals in the water server that makes the fucking members trans.
It was like we were talking about Ulfric Stormcloak in my Skyrim stream, and I'm like, they're putting chemicals in the water to make the Argonians gay.
It's very, there's like a lot of stuff going on, and people are like scared of change. But I feel like if you have the ability to like have those conversations with people, especially people that are less tolerant of that and like are just like a normal person, it can, like, once again, the more you repeat something to a person, the more they believe it, the closer they are to believing it. So like that's one of the reasons that I want to be like so out and proud and stuff like that, is so that like if a person that's like me when I was a kid, of just conservative, thought I was cis and straight, and literally had a superiority complex about like how unsinful I was compared to the rest of the world. Like that child going on my stream or like hearing me talk about it just to a friend or something like that, having like that, planting that seed, or like reinforcing a seed that has already been planted. It might not change their life the time that I say it, but it could like get that person closer to like really like discovering stuff about themselves or just about the world.
So yeah, it nurtures that stuff that's already like might be in you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's like it has a really nice thing I saw. I know, like it's the thing. It's like, oh, people do all the corporate pride stuff, but like I went to the bookstore for the first time in like a year and a half because
Wow.
well, we all know why. But
Mm.
went to the bookstore and I was like, I'm just gonna go look in the kids section because I have no idea what books kids read these days. And in the kids section, they had a whole shelf of like display of like different like queer topic books and stuff. And like I just had like the deepest moment because I'm like, if they had this stuff when I was a kid, like maybe it wouldn't have taken me until I was like 20 years old to even start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oh
If
yeah.
I could have known that it wasn't like the end of the world.
Yeah.
There were because at the end of the day, I discovered everything about myself after I started dating my life partner. And like I am poly, and we're working on it. We're not that, but like there was some real grief when I discovered it and realized that like I may never kiss a girl ever in my whole life, because I never gave myself permission to explore that until I was already dating someone. And shout out to my significant other, who's like been flamboyantly bi since before I've met him, and like that really helped me like normalize the feelings that I had, just hearing him like be like, ah yes, like Henry Cavill or whoever he's into.
Henry Cavill.
Fuck yeah. like it's been like that really helped me like give myself permission to explore it within myself. And he actually explored his gender before I did, and came away from it like, there's a lot of toxic masculinity that I've absorbed that I want to work on unlearning, but I am a man, but I just don't want this part.
And that's exactly why it's
so good.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. I think it would have honestly, because for me it would have helped a lot. Because I was the first out of any of my friends to like come out. And for years I was the only friend in my friend group that wasn't like cis and straight. And like I in person didn't know anyone. Like everything I knew was like online. It would have been so amazing to like be able to actually like, you know, like go into a bookstore and see stuff where like it was just like always a hush hush thing, like no one talked about it. It would have been amazing to like growing up to have like known. It would have saved me years of grief to have known like about it beforehand.
And like just having those experiences of like letting yourself have a crush on a person, letting yourself pursue a relationship with a person that has a crush on you, like you can't get that back. You can definitely like find it with other people and stuff like that, but like when you're raised in a way that like, oh, it's just not possible in your brain, it's just really hard to like it's hard to break out of that.
Yeah, it's fine. Like just like sitting here, like thinking about stuff, like it's giving me like this more weird introspection about my life. Like even after all this time, I'm like, there's like more things that I should have like picked up on. It's like because like you know, Shay is mentioning like being blacks, like so I'm a biracial. I grew up in like a primarily black area, and like that's always been a weird thing for me identity wise, because I'm like, I don't look exactly like, you know, my peers and my family and stuff because I'm light, so like I've never already like felt like I fit in exactly anywhere. And because of that, I think it was like both easier and harder to me to like accept that like I didn't fit in like gender or sexuality wise, because I'm like, I'm trying so hard already to try and like put myself in boxes that aren't there, so like this is just another confusing thing. But like you're getting more of that input, getting that more in the environment, like examples like different ways you can be queer and stuff, I think like help a lot more people who are, you know, in that kind of in-between thing. So
yeah.
And shout out to the peeps who are gender fuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, speaking of like race and terms of like queerness and everything, I was like, oh well, like it was always a issue for me because I was like, I grew up in a really, like I'm black and I grew up in a really white area. Like that was like, I was one of 2 black kids in my class for most of my life. Yeah. And so, and like because of how, at least for like my experience within the black community, it was always like black people can't be queer.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, and I had it in my head that I was just faking it so I fit in more within like the wider circles of my friends. and stuff, and that was like always like a hard thing for me to like deal with growing up, because I was like, oh well, you can't be black and like bisexual or pansexual, you can't be black and non-binary, you can't like and stuff. And I've been seeing like a lot more like POC people who present as non-binary or as like gay or lesbian or anything like that, and like that's like it's such a nice feeling to see more people who are just like, oh, they're just like me. And I wish, again, it was like a thing of like, I wish I could have seen that younger. I wish I could have known that younger, because it would have helped a lot of the self-doubt I had around my own sexuality and gender.
Yeah.
And says I'm glad that there's even as much as there is at this point, because again, it's like, you know, with being old person, when I was younger, it really was like, if there was any like queer media at all, it was just overwhelmingly very white, and just like, well, it's still a problem. I was like, it was even worse, and just like, I literally can't connect with this in the first place because like, I don't know y'all people.
Right, exactly. It was very, very weird because like I'm technically I am African American, but I am you know, I am mixed race. That's the whole reason why my dead name is such an issue. Is because my lily white mother convinced my black father, who was in jail, that was a good ass name. No, that's but yeah, no. Aside from that, I've had both sides of the family, and I grew up in a predominantly white area, and you know, the media for all that was, you know, predominantly white, and you know, there was no connection and everything. It just yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. But yeah, so just I understand where you're coming from with you do not feel a connection to it when you're so excluded, and it wasn't until like I got into things like Second Life and so forth that you felt some more inclusivity, you know, and felt included in these things, and it's like, wow, I can actually just be myself and there's no issue.
And there was a period of time, like even after I'd come out and everything, where online I still used like a white avatar. Like, oh well, I won't be accepted, or like people won't perceive me the way that I want to be perceived if I do, like, because it was like in the beginning of Tumblr. Like,
in the before times.
In the beginning of Tumblr and stuff, it was like even like a thing of like, oh well, you can't be alternative if you're black and stuff like that. And it was always like, oh well, like if you're black, you can only be this kind of black person.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I was like, oh well, I felt like I had to like masquerade myself. Like it was a weird time, because it was like I was allowed to be free in my like sexual presentation and gender presentation and everything online, but I wasn't allowing myself to be free and like completely who I am and stuff. And it's just like, it's so nice to see like there's so many more like communities and like available for that now, and it's like it's completely different now. It's so nice. It's it's better. Yeah.
So it's like my one saving grace, because I like the county I live in is like, I think like 60% black. Like there's just a lot of black people here. And so it's like when I was in high school, I'm like, I knew nothing but black nerds, and it's like hearing like other places in the country, I'm like, oh, this wasn't normal. Like it tripped me out so much.
Right. But but one big thing is like with me being predominantly on the internet and stuff, it's like black people did not have a space back then, like at all. And this is nothing but like a recent surgence. And like you have to like basically put on whiteface when you were on the internet back then, and it was just, in order to be like in any space, it was awful. But I'm glad, you know, that's taking a down tick where you can actually just be you and be accepted. Like with what Chill was saying, just, you know, you could not be in alternative fashions and stuff, like me being the black goth, like, oh no, that was heresy back then, you know. but it's very much something that's on a downturn, and I'm glad that it's very much on a downturn, especially in LGBT areas, because being African American or any sort of POC, that it was very weird to be in certain spaces because thank you. It's very weird to be in certain spaces because of the way people would perceive you. Like, oh, you were from this community, so obviously you don't feel this, and that kind of like stigmatization and such. So yeah, but like I said, it's been a recent thing. I think Tumblr and community sort of like it helped, fix a lot of that.
Tumblr, especially early Tumblr, was like both very bad and very good for some things.
Yeah.
I do not trust people who get like really into the like, oh, evil Tumblr SJW thing, because even though there was obviously a lot of very out-of-pocket behavior on Tumblr, there was also so much good community building that happened there, and it's like, I can't trust you if you are just willing to throw all of that under the bus.
Yeah. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for Tumblr, my journey to figure out like all of my orientation stuff probably would have happened way later in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like Tumblr was never perfect. It was
no, of course not
perfect, but it was like a place where a lot of people started to explore like sexuality and gender presentation and everything. It had its good and bad parts.
I just realized that the other early internet space I had for like exploring my sexuality stuff was freaking Gaia Online, and that was
Holy shit!
Yeah. The collective experience.
It's like I had just wiped it from my mind until this moment.
I had a boy account and a girl account.
I still have my
same.
Gaia account, my Gaia account. Yeah, I just made a really hot-looking guy. Like,
I met my ex that I was with for 9 years on Gaia Online when we were like 17. And so like it was funny though, because like he was very, very, very into guys. He had only just recently like come around to like realizing that he was bi, and for a while, like, I had met him previously, like years before, but at the time he had been he had been posing as a girl because he was also very gender non-conforming, and like he thought that that's what he would have to do to be that way, and like Gaia was just a whole playground for gender awakenings.
Yes, like I met so many people via like, anime role plays, and it just so happened like because the weird kind of series I was into just kind of brought out all the gays. So it's like, okay, this works.
MSN. Oh yeah, MSN.
Yeah.
Yahoo chat rooms, my god.
Yeah, Yahoo, AIM. Yep.
AIM.
Yeah.
I still miss AIM.
I miss MSN the most.
What was that?
I was like, I don't know if you guys use like ENVtuber, but I have two accounts
briefly,
for that too.
Jesus Christ, I think I still have my account.
I stopped using it because I had a bunch of items with blood in them, and they like removed them from the site and gave me like the stupid site currency.
I used to make some items. I also have my old account there, which is a furry. So,
all right.
I mean, furries represent.
I got much more Second Life, which I waited to join like a week after I turned 18.
Fuck waiting.
I was cautious about such things, at least by that point.
I wasn't, but also by the time like Second Life came up, I was like already at least late teens. So
yeah.
I had the blessing / curse of my family had decided that they were a Macintosh family, an Apple family. So nothing worked. Nothing worked on the on PC.
On the Macs,
on the
yeah.
Oh
Mac.
no.
Yeah,
So
no, I
it was
missed
just, like-
out on so many of like the things that people played like when I was in high school and stuff, like all the MMOs and all these things. I'm like, well, my computer just can't run it. So
Oh.
Yeah, it was so like and it was a blessing and a curse.
yeah.
But yeah. And Gaia Online, the anime role plays definitely were a thing. I also did Star Trek role plays, the forum based ones. It's just roleplay is a very good way to kind of like just like explore that stuff in a
It
safe
really
and controlled
is.
space for yourself.
Yeah. I mentioned this like chatting with Julep like super late one night. I think that was a stream that we talked for like 4 hours after
7
another
hours.
thing. Yeah.
We finished Monster Prom. Everyone else went to bed, and we just talked for
Talked
4 more hours.
Yeah. But like, so even now, when I make a roleplay character, I tend to make a lot of either guys or like mask non-binary people, because for many years, like that ex that I mentioned that I was with for 9 years, one was my primary roleplay partner, and like he did like playing roleplays with female characters, but obviously he was much more into guys, and I could easily make male characters. So there was that, and then the friend before that, who is the only person that I ever had like art roleplay chemistry with, rivaling my ex's, who I also kind of had a crush on her when I was in high school, but didn't acknowledge it as a crush. She also had some gender stuff going on. It wasn't anything that she like was solid on at the time, but I'm pretty sure she was at least non-binary, just like from a lot of the conversations that we had. And she also was much more comfortable playing male characters and so that is what I did for years and years and years, and I thought it was only because of partner preference, But now, like, I'm still in a place where I express a lot of things about myself that I don't in other spaces through those characters.
Yeah.
See, it's funny that I would have like even forgotten about Gaia, because like it's through a Gaia friend group that I met my current partner, and we've known each other for like almost 11 years at this point. Because we were like doing like writing stuff together, and we were like always really got along, and then it just kind of like went from there. But it's like, yeah, back then it's like I think at that time like we were both pretty much just writing male characters because it worked out for like the stories we were writing stuff in. But yeah, I think it was like retrospectively a lot of like working out like gender stuff and different issues. So
I'll tell you, being both a conservative Christian and a trans man who sees themselves in yaoi anime is a trip. That was a trip of puberty. I had to do so many mental gymnastics. I was just like, oh, well, this guy is obviously trying to make this other guy sin, and that's the... and I'm reading it for this reason and not this reason. Why would I ever read it? Oh, no, gross.
So another thing, like well before, like probably starting like when I was like 12 or 13, I really wanted like to read Yuri, and there just wasn't any. And like fanfic, I would look for like fem/fanfic, and there just wasn't any, and I would complain about it like on my live journal that I had because I'm old, that like, oh, there's no fanfic for like Tomoyo and Mei Ling from Cardcaptor Sakura. I wanted fanfic for that, and there wasn't any, and I would complain about it. And so I started reading BL because it was the gayest thing that I could get. It was the only thing that I could get.
Same.
This funny thing is like, like with like BL and stuff, like I know we have all the recent backlash going, and yeah, a lot of BL is still trash, whatever. But the thing is, lots of media is trash.
It's exactly like.
But, like the thing that I hate the most is like railing against like people who like BL. And I was like no, it's not like, oh, creepy straight girls like fetishizing men. It's like, no, there's a lot of queer people who BL was really helpful for them, like formatively, because it's like back then, like I probably got into like the getting like the hardcore BL stuff way too young because that was the internet. But also at the time is like this is the only depictions of like sexuality I could find where it's like there was not some female character being like objectified, which somebody who was still like identifying as female at the time made me very uncomfortable. So it's like I can look at depictions of like, like sensual relationships with people that are of like the same gender stuff that's like, that does at least sometimes actually try to look into like queer issues, and like that was all that we had basically.
Yeah,
so.
that was it at the time, and because there were like two Yuri series on the shelves in the U.S. and I wasn't interested in either of them. So
yeah, there wasn't many. It was a struggle because I remember always looking for some and looking on. Even now, it's better, but there's still not nearly as many available, but it's way more than I remember.
It's much better than it used to be.
It's part of the reason why I ended up using like read a lot of BL. Also, the whole like gender thing with like where I refer to myself using mass terms like for a good bit of middle school. So it was like it was like a thing of like, oh well, like I need media that like suits the way that I mentally perceive myself, although that ended up changing for me over time, but still it was like, that's why I was like, I'm not quick to judge someone when they say that they read BLs.
Yeah. So I like, even at the time I did not like, I knew that a lot of BL was trash, like I could tell even in my like with my teenage standards, but that like the thing is a lot of a straight shoujo manga is also trash, and a lot of the problems that BL has are fully enforced, and like you don't hear people complain about like Peach Girl or anything like that the way that they complain about BL.
It's like for some reason it's held to like a higher standard because I feel like especially like on like the Western like Tumblr sphere at some points, just because if it's queer, it has to be healthy. It has to be a healthy
and pure and blah 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 blah.
And it's just like, oof. And like especially, and then if you get into like the Yuri problem that I think Rem and I have talked about is like a lot of times the Yuri is not about like interesting plots and murder mysteries and like the way that BL is, and like and it's more or like exploring toxic relationships. It's not, because like it's not meant for an audience that gets that. It's meant for an audience that like objectifies and like fetishizes. Like
it's about moe girls do cute kiss, and that's like the extent of it.
A lot
which is
of
great sometimes,
like
but like there's gotta be something else.
I want variety.
I'm gonna fully admit here, I'm out of my element here. That's why I'm not talking.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. This is the weeb squad over here.
The weeb squad, yeah. But yeah. So the thing about the Yuri genre is that unlike with BL, which is so what a lot of people know in the West as shonen-ai, that's not a term that is used in Japan. It was used very briefly at the beginning of the history of the genre. It does not refer to that now. Don't use it. But boys love is like the entire genre, and then yaoi is a subset of that. And there are publications that are specific to BL and to yaoi. And those are demographically aimed at women. And then you have geikomi, which are demographically aimed at guys. A lot of people in the West call geikomi bara, which is a slur in Japan, so I would not suggest using it. Geikomi is the term that they actually use. But that is gay comics aimed at men demographically. Yuri does not have that divide. There is no like some publications demographically lean one way or the other, but most are for multi-gender readership, and that is the way that it's been historically. Like it has roots in shoujo also, but like pretty early on things were very kind of Wild West in terms of demographic. And so it's not easy to find a UD publication that is, first of all, like by and for women the way that, you know, you could if you were looking for gay men. There are gay me publications, but so a lot of UD is aimed at men, and most of it falls into either extreme sexualization, usually sometimes of underage characters, or it is, you know, moe blob, which again,
it's moe blob, and it's like, it's just weirdly like sterile.
Yeah,
I think it's like this. Yeah.
Sterile is a good word for it. It is very lighthearted, and it can sometimes play into some really harmful things, like the idea that it's not really a relationship or sex if it doesn't involve a guy, so it's innocent. Like things like that crop up, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. All right. So, and another thing that happens in like queer coded anime a lot is they end up with boys at the last like 3 episodes or something like that. Like, Nana is a big one for this, where the whole thing is about this relationship between 2 people who have the same name, 2 girls, and like they're definitely like they like cup each other's chin and they like brush hair out of their eyes, and it's definitely like exploring this like kind of queer like space, and then it has to be made safe. Like it has to be, and this happens in American media as well, of just like we can queer code this character as much as we want, but in the end we have to make them heterosexual. Like the I will never get off this is the hill that I will die on, which is like the BioWare games and how they treat butch women. They make butch women and then they make them straight every single time. and it's just like, come on, you guys, and it's like it's the most like acceptable version of butch, but it still is like very clearly like, this person has a shaved head and tattoos and like smokes and like acts all masculine, and has a dialogue option where she talks about like being in a relationship with a man and a woman at the same time, but she can only be romanced by the male character, and it's like, why?
Yeah, it's like the text chat here is like, evil queer-coded characters. Yeah, the problem here is like, I don't know if it's just because we used to have like all this media, it's like the evil characters were the queer-coded ones, but I'm like, but now I'm just like, but villains, I love them so hot.
Yes,
that's a mood.
And I've looked so hard as a kid. I looked so hard for Yuri or straight stuff that had like the sexy evil man,
and it's
or the sexy evil character, because that's what I wanted. What I wanted was the sexy evil character. I didn't care what genders they were, but actually I did very much, because I wanted to not be sinning in my heart. And so like it's just like there isn't a Yuri with like an evil villainess.
Yeah, so give me just some messy queer ladies in this stuff, please.
There is more of these, or I would say like, not that it never existed, but it was very rare that it got translated. And what we're seeing a lot more these days is both like a much higher volume of translation of different stories, and then also like just more venues for like sapphic creators to make things. Like there's a lot of online manga now, like a ton of online manga now.
Yes, like, so I day job, I'm a translator, but one of the series I work on is actually a Yuri manga, which I think was like a web thing first, but I enjoy it because like I always have to side eye these series, because again it's like, I'm like, okay, was this written by a dude who's just like wants to draw the moe girls? But like I like this series a lot because it actually has like, it's still like cute squirrel girl kind of thing, but the characters are actually like messy emotionally, and like they're messy as people. It's like, okay, you can have them be like real people, and that's very nice.
I'm enjoying Other Side Picnic right now for that reason. Like it is written by a guy, but I don't mind that as long as they create well-rounded characters, you know?
Yeah.
And like the main character in Other Side Picnic is very relatable. She is a heavily depressed college student. First of all, it's so good when there are adult characters. There never are. But she is a heavily depressed college student. And then the series overall, although it is like, I don't even know if I would classify it specifically as Yuri, because like the thing for both Yuri and BL is that generally the series is like revolves specifically more so around the relationship. It can have other things in it, but it's usually mainly about the relationship. But the plot for this one isn't, and that's what I want. I want stories that prominently feature gay girls that are also other things.
Yeah, doing stuff. Just like doing stuff.
Doing things. Doing something.
God, I remember running into this one manga, and from the start, it like promoted itself as like kind of like a Yuri, like the protagonist was this high school girl, and she had a crush on a childhood friend who actually ended up being a trans woman. And which in itself, like, trans women in Yuri is exceptionally rare. But like the whole thing ended up being like in the end they didn't get together, which like to me, like, that's not inherently a deal breaker. You know, like, nothing bad happened to the trans woman or anything, but like what frustrated me most was that this whole manga spent its time like developing you know, both the trans girl and the protagonist like in this weird sort of context, or you know, regarding like gender and like societal expectations in like a really slow, dry, kind of preachy way. And so like, you know, they spent all this time like delving and diving into like the headspaces of these characters, and like by the end, like they all grow up, they graduate high school, and like, you know, trans woman is successful. But then like the main character is like from the very start implied to be sapphic and prefer like, you know, being attracted to women, and also like going on this sort of gender journey, like not quite being a trans man, but like definitely like GNC, like definitely GNC.
See, do you remember what series that is?
I think the title is only in Japanese, so I don't immediately remember offhand, but like I know I found it on Destiny Scans, I think it's called.
Was it Kanojo ni Naritai?
Yes!
So, funny story about that series. I, at some, like, tangent here, I got, contacted by, like, this one, like, publisher that's doing a bunch of web manga to, like, maybe translate some stuff. And that was on the list of possible series. I was like, okay, this seems kind of good. And, like, so I had submitted a translation for the first couple chapters, and then, like, the company kind of changed directions, and so it never got picked up. So I had never looked into the rest of the series. I was curious how it went.
I see.
Well,
so now I know. So that's disappointing, though.
Yeah, like straight up by the end, like throughout the whole gender and GNC journey and sexuality stuff, by the end she is about as femme as can be, and is also married to one of the guys.
That's lame. I'm so disappointed.
Unfortunate.
I saw the comments like over time, people got kind of sick of this manga just because of how preachy it sounded, but like by the end, like it was just a final like fuck you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so one thing that at start of it, I was like, okay, this could either develop really well or just fall apart, and I guess it did the latter. So.
I need to like look around at what's available, because I know there's a lot of series that I would like to read. There is much more variety than there used to be.
Speaking of which, if anybody has series with evil ladies, please hit me
tell us
up.
about the evil gay ladies.
I'm a thirsty little pig.
Yes. Please.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I have noticed we've been going for about 3 hours now. And I'm enjoying myself a lot, and I have I could keep going, but I also haven't eaten dinner, and so I just I know we've been streaming for a while, so I want to check in on everybody.
Probably we're all a little, special people who I'm sure many of us have forgotten to eat food recently.
Yeah.
Because that's also me.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Would y'all like to? Do we want to reconvene, take a break and reconvene, or do you want to wrap? I'm good with either. I am enjoying talking and have more in me, but I can do whatever.
I think,
Go ahead.
if it's a good stopping point, I was gonna say we could wrap because, I actually think it'd be fun for us to do a discussion later on, more about these characters in media, which could be a whole talk on its own. So
yeah, we could do just a different stream. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
so,
for sure.
In that case, it sounds like we could wrap the stream, and then if we're feeling it later, maybe do a guerrilla chat stream about being real gay for fictional characters. Oh, no worries, CCT.
Yeah.
It's a lot earlier than I usually stream, and I wanted to do that because Shay wasn't able to do later streams.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing later streams because my boyfriend gets home at about 10:30 at night, which is 11:30 for you guys on Eastern. So it's hard for me to stay past a certain time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a really great talk, and I'm sure if you want to hit us up on, if you go on Rem's Twitter, there's definitely at least the tweet that I made that has everybody linked, and then you can find our Twitch channels from that. But let me see if I can. No, I refreshed the chat, but yeah.
One second. I will.
My channel is. I'm going to link it right quick because I think it was linked earlier, but this is my channel. I tried to stream during the week, but yesterday, it was impossible for me to stream because of allergies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we can all give our introductions again. Tell us what we streamed to for the folks who came in late. So.
Oh yeah, sure. So we're gonna go down the line again.
Yeah, we can do it that way.
Let's just go left to right on the screen. Be easier.
Sure.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm Shay or Shayna. It's obvious what my pronouns are. They're right there at the bottom, covering that midsection. I tend to be a variety streamer. I stream a multitude of things, but mostly I stream RPGs and anything that goes shooty tooty McFruity. And I tend to have fun with the more darker themes in RPGs and stuff. So, my current things to stream right now are Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, as well as The Witcher, and just have fun with that. But yeah, you can catch me most days. I think I take Mondays and Fridays off at the moment, and Saturdays as well. But I tend to stream at about 6 p.m. every other day. So yeah, if you want to see what I do, just come on by.
Okay, yeah, I am, again, Sun S37, also known as Sunset. Right now, my only set stream day, I do late Saturday evenings, usually at 10:30 Eastern, and my focus is on, retro titles and, indie stuff, and with some variety in there. But on Saturday evenings, I do my my retro grab bag, which is, it's supposed to be a variety of PS2 games. I keep getting into just one game, and then we play it for weeks. We're currently playing a cursed game called Tulip, where you kiss people, and it's an adventure. But
other Tulip called my name.
No, it's called Tulip. Tulip. There you go. Yeah, but it could be called. Tulip would be better with Julep. It's a cursed game.
We need to mod Julep into the game.
Exactly. But I play that, and I play just occasionally chill stuff, rhythm games. I played some Animal Crossing. I might start playing some Genshin just while I'm grinding, just so I can have some company while I'm running across fields endlessly. And yeah, I'm trying to start doing more weekday streams too, which will usually be in late afternoon, early evening, which would be like maybe Mondays and Thursdays. We'll see what shakes out, but definitely always Saturdays. Check my Twitter if you want to see other days too.
So I'm Julep. You can see my pronouns right there. I am a variety streamer also. I'm doing a series where I am reading The Hobbit out loud late at night. The next one is going to be, I believe, Sunday. Oh man, that's coming up. Sunday, I am going to be reading the chapter Riddles in the Dark. And I'm gonna make it like an event out of it. This weekend I'm pretty booked up, so you can find me at there's my link. And so Friday I'm gonna be playing some Dream Daddy. Saturday is the anniversary of the Pulse shooting, and I am a person who is from Orlando and was living there at that time. And so I'm going to do a memorial stream. It's going to be like, there's not going to be any VTuber avatars or stuff like that. But if you want to come by and like hear about what happened and like my experience with that, that'll be at some point on Saturday. And then, yeah, Sunday is the Riddles in the Dark stream. So yeah, that's my next thing. I am not very good at video games, but I do try. Oh, and I also do art on my channel too.
It's okay, because all VTubers suck at video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're categorically very bad.
Yeah. It's fine.
The best place to find out like when I'm going to be doing things is my Twitter, which I will link here. It is an 18+ Twitter, just because I do get a little horny on main sometimes. Just so you know, Julep is a pro gamer. Yes, that's correct. I'm a pro gamer. You're right, my loyal fan. Thank you so much for supporting me. But the best way to I'm really like, my schedule is all over the place sometimes. I often don't set a specific time for my streams, so the best time way to know that is either like have notifications turned on for me on Twitch, or have or follow me on Twitter, because I'll always tweet about it, so when I go online. But yeah, that like, I don't know when I'm gonna do the Saturday thing. I need to actually look presentable, because my face is gonna be on the screen, so that's different.
Julep,
But
face
yeah.
reveal. You've revealed your face before.
Julep real. Julep real.
Julep real.
Julep not cryptid? Julep confirmed.
Julep's human Sona Ultra
Yes.
3D version.
Human vessel.
Such
Julep
amazing
with
rendering.
RTX on.
This is the face reveal.
This is Julep in 8K.
Julep is a real pig. Yes, that's correct. But yeah, like I'm gonna be doing that memorial stream. It's gonna be kind of rough. It's hard for me to go through it, but I think that it's important. And I also am the only VTuber from Orlando that I know, so I feel like it would be good for me to do that. So yeah, that's what we're doing, and yeah, that's me. That's where I am.
Yeah.
I'm Issy, of course. My pronouns below. I assume I don't currently have stream up.
They are there.
I usually stream on Mondays and Thursdays, and lately, just because of both technical and network problems, like with internet and stuff, I've been kind of keeping like low key with my content, sort of. So like, I'm doing mainly like visual novels, or like I do art sometimes, and like, I know I'm trying to keep in the theme with Pride, for my streams this month, and yeah, it's usually a gay old time. I usually stream like around 6 p.m. CST. Usually I might go as early as like 4 or as late as 8. I usually don't want to go too late into the night, but yeah, that's stuff. My Twitch is Your Beloved Issy. Of course, you could probably see in the chat. And my Twitter is @IssyFrogVT, where I usually post like when I plan to stream and stuff. Anything else? I guess only thing I can think to mention is like 4th of July, which I know is still a few weeks away, but that is in fact my birthday, so I'll have to think of something to do at that time. But yeah, I'm pretty low key and not exactly by choice. So if you're looking for a reasonably chill time, check me out, I guess.
Do it. Follow Issy. Follow everyone.
Yeah, I'm getting Issy's link and putting it in the chat.
I tried and it didn't post to Twitch. You can see it on screen, but it didn't post to Twitch.
It's trying its best.
I'm having issues with OBS today.
I got it.
I'm Chi. My pronouns are also below myself. I mostly stream randomly, and I mostly stream like just really chill games, Minecraft, Stardew Valley, or I'll stream playing dating sims or other story-based games, and a lot of collabs. I like doing collabs a lot. And I've been paused for a while, but I am going to be starting up reading bedtime stories on Friday nights again. And those I normally start around like 8 p.m. and will normally read until 10. So yeah, that's it.
Very cute.
Well, snuggly.
Yes. I'm sad that I don't get to go to those because I have a thing every week on Friday that goes from like 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. That is almost every Friday that I can't, like, I gotta do it. So
That's no problem. That's no problem.
I'm sad though
Most
because
people fall asleep anyway, so.
But that's what I want. I want to listen to Chi's soothing voice. Fall asleep. Alas.
Absolutely.
Oh well.
It's like when I have there's some days of the week I have 3 or 4 different friends who are all streaming at the same time. I'm like, I'm sorry, my ADHD brain can only do so many.
I know. I have so little energy throughout the week, and then either everybody's streaming or at the same time, or I have to stream. But I'm like, I just want to watch other people. Like, why do I have to stream?
Right, VTubing is you can watch your friends' streams and sometimes show up with an avatar.
Yes.
I am a VTuber and I regret this.
My collabs are good, so I could be there and also have something on my stream days. This is one of my normal stream days. Speaking of which, hello, I am Rem Inverse, and I started this channel to make, I started my VTubing career to, start my ASMR career. That's why I started this, but it took me a really long time to get a setup I was happy with, so I've not made much ASMR yet, but I am hoping to do more ASMR very soon. Yes, Callie's correct. I'm Rem Inverse, and I play really old games. That's mostly what I do. I have I have decided, intentionally to lean into my nostalgia content, both because it makes me happy, and also because, so I play a lot of, 90s and early 2000s monster taming games. Those are, my thing. other than fighting games, but I'm not good at fighting games, so I don't stream them. But monster taming games are really my thing, and I have been meeting so many Monster Rancher and Digimon fans while streaming them. It's wild. So I'm gonna keep doing it, and I think people are really into Monster Rancher 2 right now. So Sunday I'm gonna probably continue with Monster Rancher 2. But yeah, that is that. Mostly right now 90s nostalgia games, occasional horror, but I am saving horror for like my not normal stream days because not everybody's into it. Like people will come and be like, they'll come and they'll hang out, but they'll be like, I don't like horror games. And I'm like, you don't have to come, just for me. I'm glad, Al. I'm glad I'm converting you. Yes, all hail Toxic, as Nyan says. Toxic is our new monster.
Nice.
So that'll be more of that on Sunday. Also, I currently multi-stream to both Twitch and YouTube, but next week I have decided to do the process to become a Twitch affiliate. I've had the numbers for a while, but you can't multi-stream, and YouTube is very important to me, so it's taken me a really long time, but I'm finally going to start it, so I will no longer be multi-streaming after Sunday, most likely. I will still be streaming on YouTube, but I don't know when or what, because so my normal stream days are Thursday and Sunday, and usually I start anywhere from 8 p.m. EST to 10:30 p.m. EST, somewhere in that time frame after I eat dinner is when I start streaming, generally. Yeah,
the affiliate does mean the sub button. It also means emotes.
Emotes. I gotta commission emotes. I don't have them yet.
Luckily I know somebody you can commission emotes from.
Yeah, the problem is there's so many people I know.
Don't worry, I got a guy.
Yeah.
I have been making so many connections in that sense, yeah.
Your emotes are really good though, so I am definitely interested in that. But yeah, so we'll have subscribing features, we'll have emotes, we'll have redeems. You will be able to do a redeem to turn me into a sheep.
Yes.
It's exciting.
Yeah, save all my points.
Saves all of the points. Yes. just for that only.
Yeah, so that is coming, but sadly I won't be able to multi-stream anymore, so I'll have to figure out some schedule stuff to keep going on YouTube as well. VODs will still be on YouTube also, though.
I'm sorry, is that a spray bottle? What the fuck is your hydration method right now? Are you a cat? Are you trying to scare yourself?
What? What is happening?
What is going on there?
It's my method of getting me to drink more. I've drunk this entire bottle sitting here by spraying it.
That's, why not? That's one way to do
if it works, I'm not...
I stan Chi.
Please, one of you link this image in the chat so that people can see. We have to share this forbidden knowledge.
Oh my god, it works. I'm not dissing it. It's just
also this is your nightly reminder to hydrate yourself.
Yes. Hydrate yourself or I'll kill you. That was a bit. It happened before. There's a clip, I think. Anyway, I actually haven't hydrated. Oh no, I have to destroy myself. I think that's everybody's introductions, and so we're gonna wrap up, we're gonna have dinner, and then we might be getting together later for a gorilla stream just to talk about our fictional crushes, because that's fun. Yeah, anybody else want to say anything?
Oh my god.
We're all just laughing at cheese waffle.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, happy Pride to everybody.
Hey, can I have a sip? A skip.
Hey, it is a sanitary method of sharing
Happy
drinks.
Pride.
Happy Pride.
Rem, we should probably raid with all these viewers.
Yes, we also have to raid. Yeah, we're definitely gonna raid. I'm gonna love to see the reaction on somebody when I raid them. Let me see who's streaming.
Do you know who you're gonna raid?
I'm looking right now. See
I
who's
have
on
a
my
couple.
list. Let's see. Oh, there's a lot of people streaming right now. Okay, so we got Lily.
This is really Corin's kind of natural comfort zone.
I'm always I've
It's rolled right now.
a live stream on Twitch.
Yeah. She's
Oh
been
no,
working up to it.
Twitch started
since
auto
day
playing
one.
something.
Yeah.
No.
That's not, why is everybody up on this Thursday?
Too early. Wait. It's 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so like we got Lily,
Twitch.
Lyko, we got Old Lady Katie, we got Coffee Kuma, a peculiar little rabbit streaming. Let's raid B. Let's raid B.
A peculiar little rabbit is the partner of one of my flirt friends.
Y'all. B. I haven't been to one of B's streams in a while, so yeah, let's raid B.
Yeah, that's
So
actually about to
tangentially connected.
And they B is streaming Borderlands 2.
Okay.
Let's go. Okay, thanks again, everybody. Both my collab partners for chatting with me and chat for being so great, with the exception of one person who was banned quickly.
Alright.
Her,
Alrighty.
her pronouns are
Alright.
she, they pronouns.
Yes. Is it going? Okay, yeah, it's going. Alright, let's raid.
Right?
Immediately.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Rated.